everybody. What are we doing here?
It's a real confident introduction.
I know, I wasn't ready for it. I think we don't have a really great introduction. Okay, welcome to Twin Cities Playtest, presented by IGDATC, the Twin Cities chapter of the International Game Developers Association.
Yep.
I think
Accurate.
that in defense of you, I think that the bar has been set pretty low. I was listening to the last IGDA event, and it was silence and occasional Discord pings for the first 5 minutes. So I think that we have not a ton to measure up to here.
Okay, so what is playtesting?
All right.
Lane?
So, what Dale?
What is playtesting?
What is playtesting? Wow, you're really cutting deep here.
I thought I'd give an intro.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I didn't expect the philosophy at this point. And by the way, Ryan has been given the invite here. He has seen the message. He's just making his way in, going past the stands right now. So playtesting, Dale. Playtesting is what you do to make sure that your game doesn't suck. And Ryan is here to.
Really important.
Yeah. And so, Ryan, welcome aboard.
We're gonna check.
Hey, thanks. I just needed the little nudge to join. I didn't see that.
We're going to
no problem at all.
If your game sucks or not. So how can people?
Ryan is here to talk about this game that he's been working on called Emery. Ryan, could you tell us a little bit about this game before we go in?
Sure. Yeah, it's a 2D platformer, largely inspired by the likes of Super Mario Brothers in particular, in that it's much more forgiving than other recent popular platformers. Games like Celeste or Super Meat Boy, where you die very frequently, and that's kind of the point. Emery is a little bit more forgiving than that, so I just try to make it feel as good as I can and give you a chance to explore, maybe fight some enemies, fun stuff like that.
That sounds fantastic. Hey, I know that actually, like, the last time that you were here, you showed us a game jam project that was sort of based on another all-time classic, Link to the Past. And I think that, I as far as I recall, it's one of my favorite games that we've shown here. And so I'm really looking forward to where you've come with this other game that's sort of based on something classic that I absolutely adore.
Oh yeah, I appreciate the affirmation always. I definitely, I'm young enough that my first console could have been like an N64, but my parents always kept the old NES around. So my formative gaming years were definitely those all-time classics for sure.
All right, are we technically ready to launch into this?
We should be. The question is who is going to play the game?
So I was gonna be really awkward here, Mark, and suggest that you play the game because I don't have a controller that actually works with it. I was testing out my Xbox 360 controller and I couldn't get past the start menu. Would you be able to?
Yes, for sure. Dale, would you like to play or would you like me to play?
I want you to play this time.
All right.
In the meantime, Lane, can you tell people how they can be the playtester?
You got it. Yeah. So what we're doing right now is something that we don't typically love to do. We prefer to have audience members hop on and be the playtesters, just because the game is probably not going to be played by an audience of all professional game developers. So if you would like to hop on and give this a try and put some fresh eyes on this, you can join us we are in the Twin Cities Game Dev Discord. Just drop a question in the Twitch chat if you don't know how to get there, and we will get you set up to come here on the event stage. You can just hop on and playtest the game through Parsec. You'll be able to stream directly into Mark's computer and be able to play the game with a controller. All right. Getting set up so I can watch this on Twitch myself.
Nice.
And we are going to be a minute or so. It looks like we're having trouble loading up the executable, which happens. So just sit tight.
Well, let's see, Ryan. Where would the last time that we would have seen this game be? Were you at VGM Con this last summer?
Yeah, I was at the physical VGM Con back in March, right before everything closed down about a year ago. I had it on 2DCon online in late August, and then I think VGM Con also had some kind of like side quest, like sideshow event, kind of Halloween area. And so I was part of that as well. So yeah, I haven't gotten to showing off as much as I would have liked. I was, just kind of getting that momentum about a year ago, and yeah, we all ran into the same issues with that.
Yeah. So, what is your process been like for the last year? I know that for me, like the lack of events, not being able to like show people and get people's like facial expressions and enthusiasm every week has really cut into my like level of motivation to work on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that for sure. You definitely get a lot of perspective from people who've never seen your project before, and a lot of ways to learn about what's intuitive and what's not, things that are working, and you definitely miss that aspect of it a lot, because when you're staring at the project and you know it inside and out and everything like that, it's really hard to catch some of those things sometimes. So I think, yeah, from like a polishing standpoint, I've definitely missed a lot of the feedback pertaining to things like that. So I've kind of taken 2020 as a year to do a lot of my like lateral under the hood overhauls. So like my enemy AI, like state machines, got a nice fancy upgrade. I upgraded Unity's. I've upgraded the render pipeline that I'm using for Emery, so that will allow me to do all kinds of like cool 2D lighting effects that I still haven't implemented yet, but the capacity is there now that I'm using the new universal render pipeline. I imported Cinemachine, which was the root cause of that bombshell you guys dropped on me a couple hours ago. Still a lot of issues to work out with the Cinemachine in particular.
Okay.
But yeah.
For the non-game developers in the audience, can you tell us what Cinemachine is and what was the bomb that Lane dropped on you?
Yeah, no, I would be happy to. So Cinemachine is basically a package that Unity integrates with to basically just make the coding and the handling of your camera behavior much easier to manage. And that is extremely helpful because I don't know about Lane or Mark or what you guys' opinions on camera work in particular is, but camera work drives me nuts. It can be very painful to debug. So it's definitely something I'm looking forward to using more extensively. I just haven't given it the proper time ironing out all the kinks as it pertains to how my game actually uses Cinemachine. The bombshell.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the bombshell about 2 hours ago, like an hour or so before we're supposed to go live today, Mark messages me and says, "Hey, I got this issue, barely nudging the joystick just enough to make your character take one step forward, pans the camera really far to the right to the point that you can't even see the character anymore, and the game is essentially unplayable." So that was not the message I wanted to receive right before the show, but yeah, we looked into it a little bit, and it turns out that a lot of Cinemachine's behavior is frame rate dependent. And Mark, you must just have a way better graphics card than I have, or something like that.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm sure. Mine's like 4 years old already, so yeah. So yeah, I was able to talk to Mark, and he was able to cap the executable at 60 frames a second, just to keep things consistent for now. A band-aid fix to be sure, but at least we can play tonight. So
yeah, and it looks like Mark has started playing.
Yeah, so this is the first inspection level, is what I call them. So the lore here is that Emery has just been assembled, and the directive, so to speak, is that they are Emery needs to pass inspection to make sure all of its basic functionalities are up to specification. So you're just going through the first inspection level, and there'll be a couple more of these just to kind of teach the player how to play the game. And yeah, it looks like he's making great progress.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about the, I'm going to call it a grass on a fork in the background? It's not showing right now, but I am sure that it will come back.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So the going back to the lore here is kind of like you're inside of a giant room inside of a factory basically, and the factory has the capacity to create dynamic internal environments. So basically what we have is like a potting area for grass that's on a platform that can be elevated and moved around to reconstruct in different internal environments kind of dynamically in that sense. So yeah, there's not going to be a lot of explicit explanation of things like that with a lot of my settings, but that's kind of the inspiration there.
That's fine. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
And it looks like Mark is through the first inspection.
Yeah.
I have played through this tutorial in a previous build, so I'm kind of eyeballing any tweaks or changes. I already can tell that the camera is different, and you've sort of described how you've kind of built a new system for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also, I think I want to make sure that people get a good idea for these basics before we get into a lot of the levels that you've got in this build, which is, I think, a lot more than I've seen previously.
Yeah, I think you're going to see 4 more brand new non-inspection levels in this build, so you'll get to see some abilities that you didn't get to see before. I do have a 2-player mode. It's not perfect from a technical standpoint yet, but if you get a couple controllers plugged in, you should be able to play a 2-player mode as well. The art is still inconsistent as well. I will try to have that in time for VGMCon next month, but I try to put off applying the art to these levels as long as I can, just in case any layout changes are necessary or things like that.
Yeah, I'll try to have the art by next month is something I've heard before.
Yeah. No promises, I can assure you of that much. But it's in the plan. I have a roadmap to the road to VGMCon, and it's definitely up there, along with making independent framework compatibility.
Dude, Leonix in the chat, I don't know who that rogue is, but whoever it is, whoever that rando is, I really think that he hit the nail on the head, man. I feel like the animations here are A+. I can't describe how much that sets this apart from a lot of other platformers.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I know, I think Lane, it was you that asked me at one point if I had a background in animation. I don't. I just spent a ton of time on it, and it's paying off with feedback like that. So I always appreciate affirmation.
Ooh, Mark, I feel like he's struggling here. I don't know. I don't know what to do. This is of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One interesting thing about there is that I can jump almost to that point. And so I'm kind of it's hard to convince me that I shouldn't keep going for it. And even though even though when I was heading up that way earlier, there's that well, I could have used that charge jump, I guess, but there's a little asterisk that ultimately is what I needed to do. I was headed for that, but then I had to do something in between. And then I forgot about it. And I think part of it is because the game, it kind of looked like I was doing the right thing. I think if that jump would have been a little hard, a little more obviously difficult, or obviously impossible rather, that might have made it I might have been able
Alright.
to get the hint a little sooner.
Sure.
Oh. He's a drone.
that's
I
cool.
thought he was just carrying some plates like a waiter.
Yeah, that's definitely on the short list to upgrade the art a little bit.
I mean, like, it's not bad as you figure it out immediately once you jump. But that does remind me of a little waiter bot.
Okay, we have the S tier comment from Chifiggins here. Could we see what the idle animation is? I don't know if I've laid my peepers on that entirely. Oh god, that charging is so cool.
So the idle animation or the charging animation? So if you just stop moving for like 10 seconds, then there should be just a tiny little animation.
Alright, I'm gonna stay.
Yeah,
stay
I think-
still and see.
By the way,
Oh.
See it.
By the way, Ryan, one thing we gotta keep in mind is that we're gonna be like 5 or 6 seconds behind on the. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's so good. Yeah, but we're gonna be way behind Mark on the Twitch stream, so we have to like plan our comments for things that are gonna be relevant like 10 seconds from now.
Ooh, new best. Good job. Combat and recall.
I wonder if Charles McGregor offers a package to like Charlesify these menus.
What does that
I have no
mean?
idea what that means.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. He'll just like find a static menu and just make all the pieces come in like but it's not just any pew 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 pew. It's like a pew 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 that adds like the exact right personality. It's just so smart.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is Blaine would like some more pew 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 in the menus.
I would too. Those menus are like a year old already, so
Yeah.
again, it's on the list.
Yeah,
Well, the
and it
triple,
doesn't
like,
have to
as
be.
new-
Ooh, what are those guys? What do they
I-
remind me of? They remind me of like the tops of chess pieces, or caps that have little legs.
They just kind of like in my mind they were like supposed to be just tackling dummies.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
Yes.
something inanimate to just go run into face first.
Uh huh. You have a bolt attack. My goodness.
Oh, we should address this question by Fio Franz. How do you
Yeah.
go about tuning the difficulty level in this kind of thing?
I think it's a good question for sure. I have several ways of doing that. The first is, I guess, to add more enemies, because later in this particular inspection, you'll see the shield mechanic get introduced, and the shield mechanic is the health system of this game, and so you only get a certain number of hits. So adding more enemies, you do not have infinite lives in like you would in something like Celeste, where you get infinite retries. There is a cap there to how many mistakes you can make. So adding more enemies is one way. I try to be fairly discretionate with where I put them all, but there's a lot of different ways that I can create challenging platforming sections. The abilities that you've only seen the drone so far, but I have a few more abilities that can really change up the way some of the platforming is done.
This dummy has spikes.
Yeah, this one's a little more heinous than the others.
I like that
and,
it's a slightly different color too.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be discernible from the previous ones because its behavior is a little bit different, in the sense that it's actually supposed to kill you. Yeah, so you can go ahead and let it kill you at some point.
Oh, I'm supposed to. Like,
I've
Yeah.
I've
You're not
had a lot
reading-
of requests.
It says let's test recall. You know, Ryan.
Yeah,
it
you're
would
not
probably
reading
be
the
good-
sign because it doesn't
have
have enough
the-
pew pew pew.
It would probably be good
Hey.
to have the words "let's test recall" be like at least bolded, if not animated here.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, ultimately, it's a little bit of just presentational stuff because even in the
Yeah.
previous thing, you have these proper nouns for it's a death, right? But that's not what you call it because that's not what it is in the world. But the player really needs to know that recall is the word you use for that. And I think just telling them, as we've learned from lots of playtesting, is not good enough. If you tell a player something, they're 10% of the way to knowing it. Which is not fair, but that's how it is.
Yep.
Looks like that's right.
Makes sense.
Okay, so Accelerator says, I like the music very chill.
Yeah, shout out to Jesse Myers, local
Oh.
music composer. I've been working with him to get a lot of the music made, all the music made, and he does a
Okay.
fantastic job.
Does do a fantastic job. Okay, these are like ladybug bowling balls.
Yep. Yeah, I would consider that a very apt description.
This is why Dale is the #1 playtester.
Because I describe things.
Never knew. Oh yeah.
And then it lets you know if it's what you were going for or not what you were going for, or close enough.
Do we feel as though that recall thing looks too much like a virus capsid to not be insensitive in these trying times?
I think it is fine because that doesn't happen to be the virus we are currently focused on. But it does remind me very much of a virus. With the little thing that injects.
Wait a second.
It's
Could that be some sort of foreshadowing that we're gonna find out later in the game? Oh, Ryan, you dog.
Yeah. I'm all about that covert storytelling.
Ooh.
Things that aren't spelled out for you. You kind of gotta speculate a bit.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That little secret area. Mhm.
Yeah, one of the challenges that's kind of avoidable with platforming games is when walls and areas and floors get like too
that?
compact. It really throws off the feel of the game. So you kind of got to learn, like your spatial
Mm.
there-
limitations and
Ooh.
There's
whatnot.
That's a cool
prize
enemy.
bubbles down there. Yeah, I was gonna say that
Love
most
that
recent.
ghost.
Yeah, recent enemy. I was gonna call it Lizard Head Ghost.
Perfect. Dude, okay, so back to Fiofrans. I've got a question about that. So when we talked to Ben Burns about his difficulty in Color Jumper, if you remember the classic speedrunning
Yes.
legend.
Of course.
Love that game, but like one of the things that was very, very like stood out in that game is it had these intentional, just hardcore difficulty spikes.
Mhm.
You go from sailing through content to just and not being able to make another step for the next half hour.
Yep.
And what do you feel about that? And did you do any of that in your game?
It's in the plans. I mean, like you even look at like newer Super Mario games. It's just got like if you ever played Super Mario Maker, where people get outright sadistic with some of the levels.
Of course.
Yeah, I definitely have the capacity to do things like that.
Mhm.
It hasn't been made yet. I think that's kind of like my biggest challenge right now is like from a feature standpoint, Emery has a lot of features, and
Mhm.
I think most of the ones I'm even planning on having in the game are more or less developed or close to being developed, and I just need to make the levels. It really, I have 9 levels right now, and after 4 years, 9 levels doesn't sound like a whole lot. But I've definitely kind of adopted this philosophy that every level that I make, I want to make
Yeah.
while the option to access like the full suite of features
Mm.
is something that I can do for pretty much any level. So as I went through my iterative loops of design and added more features, I would just keep scrapping levels because it's really hard to like retrofit a new feature into an old level.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind
These
of been a
walls
part of my
have
process.
eyes.
Yes, they do.
I'm
I
here
get
to-
a lot of mixed responses on those. Some people don't like these disembodied eyes.
Oh, I like them.
I think
But they did
I
make
think
me
people-
go, ooh.
yeah, they're just kind of creepy.
Yeah, as they should be. Oh, now that eyeball's just rolling around.
So I've got a selfish question to ask you. So one thing about Vengeance, which by the way, after like 6 or 7 years has 5 levels or 6
Yeah.
levels, our ratio is even worse.
So I'm not alone. All right.
Anyway,
I would say it. That means you're doing great.
thank you, Dale. Thank you.
Yeah.
Which seems honestly like kind of standard among indie game developers. But anyway, my question is, you have opted to do 2 forms of UI, and I'm always interested in knowing when it's correct to do redundancy of signal. And so I noticed you have the battery both on the character and in the upper right corner. What made you choose to have both of those?
Well, I noticed that a lot of players, prior to the existence of the overhead one,
Yeah.
a lot of players were really struggling to keep up with the changes of their battery, like the state of their charge. Most notably, when players were in that recharge mode, they didn't know when they could stop because they weren't always watching the charge meter go up in the top right. So that kind of gave me, that required me to brainstorm a little bit on how I could be more communicative of when recharge mode is really even necessary. And I still have some more ideas, like perhaps toning down the electricity that spouts from Emery. Maybe tone that down significantly when they're not actually generating any more charge. So like at that, when they're already at 100, stuff like that is on my radar. But I think the most effective thing was just having it so the players don't need to move their eyes very much when they have a change in the status of their battery.
I was more going to ask, like the one that is overhead, that's the one that my eyes are on 100% of the time. The one that's in the upper right is honestly the one that I'm more curious about. Why? This is not even a critique at all. I think that having it may serve some purposes that I'm not really thinking of yet.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it is that it's leftover, right? I mean, that was my original UI. So, the overzealous Cinemachine
So I was
strikes
gonna
again.
ask Mark, which battery level is he paying attention to as he actually moves around the character?
The one in the upper right, I didn't realize even existed until Lane asked
Yep.
about it.
Yeah,
And
so
part of it is because visually it's not as distinct, and in this level in particular, it matches the background. One of the things that you get from HUDs a lot is that they tend to sizzle against level art, and so you need to like really separate them out, either with like a gradient at the top of the screen or more chrome elements, frames and outlines and stuff, so that you can be confident that no matter what context they appear in.
That's like a robot that got stuck in a bubble and became a ghost.
Can't afford.
Oh no. How many bubbles do you... Oh, you just need power.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Power, please, sir.
No, I'm gonna summarize that with, then it got whisked off to heaven.
Yeah, I am actually a little bit unclear on the language of... Like, I kind of know that this is the end of the level, and as soon as I spent my energy to save that dude, I kind of knew what it meant, but I didn't know going in. It was kind of like a, what's this square? And, oh, it's a thing to rescue. I think we could have used a little bit, maybe if not direct tutorialization, but a little bit more introduction as to that as an idea. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm here to save people, like Robotron or something. I didn't know that before.
Yep, so I actually have these hub worlds that you use to access the levels normally. When I distribute builds for the shows, I just have this like select from a menu, just so that a lot of that, that time spent in the middle is cut out. And it's partially it helped me with development a lot too. Just being able to choose whatever level I want. in one singular menu really helps expedite the development process. But yeah, when I get to like a more realized vertical slice with Emery, you'll get to see these hub worlds in action. You go to these hub worlds, you enter these levels through portals, just as you exit them through portals. And when you, the whole premise of the game is to go through these portals to save those they're basically villagers, is what I refer to them as, because they live within those hub worlds. Imagine something like Super Mario 64, and you know how the castle is populated with toads. Basically, you're going and retrieving the toads of your castle. That's kind of the premise there.
I like the high stakes consequences here. That's rough.
Do I only get one chance to do this then?
Yeah, that one should be unattainable.
Okay, I'm a little. Maybe it's because I have a hard time landing on narrow platforms in this game. I think there's a little bit. I need a little bit more air control, and I don't have that. So I feel like that's okay. But then the fact that I get one shot at that to even know how far a good jump is feels a little cruel. Even though it's obviously a bonus thing I'm going for, it doesn't really feel.
Okay,
Right.
so on the left, I was gonna describe that enemy as red emoji snake,
Oh,
and then down on the bottom we got
yeah.
crystal hedgehog.
I can see it. Topaz hedgehog. Hey, Ryan, I have a thought for you. You know how that platform earlier is the like gun for everyone? Would it be possible to do a no consequence gone forever platform or something before that? Like, would a player even notice that? What I'm wondering is there a way to like subtly tutorialize it before we get there?
Yeah. Either that or just to give a more indication as to which platforms are the ones that fall. Although I will say I kind of thought that would. I sort of suspected, but it does seem to be that it's not clear which platforms will sink and which ones won't.
Sure. Yeah, some kind of visual distinction there.
Yeah. Now you may not want that, right? You may want it to be you may want it to be a mystery or a surprise to the player. But I don't think you're making a choice either way currently.
Yep, that's fair.
I gotta say, the way that this like canyon here just effortlessly baited Mark into doing wall jumps up there, that's really good level design. I love that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think I would say that the wall jumps are some of the. I think it's part of the most interesting mechanics here, and pretty well implemented. And I think I'd love to see more of it in the game.
So I'm gonna jump over to the chat and say that Brian
Bad Bass, I missed that.
says looking dope so far, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it For Your Fans asks, does Emery ever speak?
Yeah, so there's a lot to be expanded on with that aspect, but yeah, anytime Emery takes damage in particular, it'll let out a little bit of an anguished cry. There's plans to expand on it more, so it's not always just pain.
You make
so-
some happy sounds?
Yeah,
So you're never
for
gonna
sure.
have it meet like one of the villagers and say, "Hey, how are you?"
Yeah, it'll be, it'll accompany things like that as well.
Okay.
So one of the big like character inspirations for Emery is Wall-E from the Pixar movie.
Okay, good. I was
so-
hoping that he'd have a little like cute voice, like "oh" and "yay."
Yep. Doesn't speak like plain English, but can use some sounds for various communication purposes.
Have you
There's another-
found ways to inject any of the like sort of sentimentality that character exhibits in that movie?
I mean, obviously that's a high standard. It's tough to to match
Yeah,
that.
where's the
But
Pixar magic, bro?
yeah, it's
I mean,
in.
I will say Emery is still very cute.
Yes, thank you. I do tend to get pretty positive feedback on the character's design, which is always a good thing.
Maybe it's because he's little and has tiny feet.
It definitely helps.
Okay, so Mark, I was going to ask you, how does difficulty feel?
Pretty good. I think what Ryan was saying at the beginning, it's like this is designed to ask a little bit of the player, but not be like Super Meat Boy challenging. And I think that's exactly right. That's exactly how it feels. It's like, it's not a cakewalk. It requires your attention, but it doesn't. It's not like, it's not mean to you. In a way that some games are mean to you, and that's a quality of that game. This game is not, right? Its challenges are not. They don't taunt you, and I like that quality. So that is when the times where it does feel frustrating, I think ends up feeling a little bit more frustrating than it would in other games, because it's kind of like breezy and rewarding normally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that all sounds pretty well on point with what I would hope to hear as when I'm looking for player feedback. So I'm glad that it's challenging.
Oh my goodness,
it's
what's
not
happening
like
here?
You're being watched.
This level was called Croyd's Conveyor, so I'm assuming that all
Yep.
those eyes belong to Croyd.
Oh, it's possible.
Oh, Mark is showing no mercy here.
I would say also a pro tip, that development console, I'm unable to
Yeah.
clear it because I don't have mouse control.
Okay.
Every developer who makes a PC game always wants to disable mouse cursor when you hover over a window.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's ever a good idea. Even though it's annoying to have the mouse cursor on there all the time.
Yep.
I mean, that's obviously, you're not going to have the development console in the shipping title, but
Right.
Dude, what if you did though, and that was how like the robots talk to you? That was the dialogue.
have a
That'd be
real,
so bad.
real meta.
That's
to it.
some
I'd endorse
Only-
that's
that.
some Kojima level design there. Yeah.
Yeah. Only the cool kids, only the other Unity developers would know. The meta joke.
Yeah. Oh.
Whoa!
Oh, I see. It's just unfinished. That's just lava, but
Yeah. No art.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's a shame it's the same color as the ground, but
Yeah. Well, now that I know what it is, it makes like the way it's laid out makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
to
I
me,
see.
so.
It's laid out in a little
Yeah,
pool.
of course. Obviously, it'll be better communicated when it's done. So
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yep.
only the dark green. Okay.
One thing
Yeah,
that would be
so-
kind of nice is I really enjoy Emery's various abilities. I think that's a real win for this game. Like it has like just the right amount of variety, but I kind of don't always know what I've got. Maybe it's because when I get a new thing, there's not like a lot of animation, or visually there's not a huge distinction. I know when I have the drone propellers, that's pretty simple. But like my various attacks, I don't always know what I'm holding, and I don't always need it, so I spend a lot of time before I shoot the next guy, and so I kind of forget which one I've got. Like, you start out with a spark, but then the various projectiles, because it's not an action-heavy game or a attack-heavy game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and is there any sort of like sprite on Emery that would tell you which of the projectiles you have?
I do have the UI elements in the bottom left and bottom right corners. So the bottom left corner should tell you your left trigger ability, and the bottom right corner should tell you your right trigger ability. When you pick up one of those items, there should be like a little icon that floats kind of in Emery's area. So if you watch Emery's body right as you collide with this pickup, it'll flash very briefly. But I mean, it's good feedback to to hear this, so I'm definitely making notes at it.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I always love it when a game is like Binding of Isaac or something and has or even better, the like Risk of Rain too, where it just like shows you on the monitor.
It's always yep.
Yeah.
Love
I know what
that.
you're talking about.
Actually, it's so funny. I was just saying that, but speaking somewhat abstractly, but this last eyeball that I was trying to get, I was trying to use the spark and jump right to it, and I didn't realize I picked up the projectile. So it kind of I sort of didn't mean to have a good example at the ready, but.
Yeah, I think that like my like super simple way to deal with that is to just have like a big icon like sort of like fall into place.
Yeah.
I don't know
they're
if you guys have
definitely
been playing Hades very much, but I feel like that game has like if you just like look at the UI as you play, it has so many solutions to common problems. Like the UI in that game is so much bigger than you would think it needs to be, but it's exactly what you need to see stuff out in your peripheral vision while you're playing. Ooh, I thought you could wall jump there. I guess that's an art issue.
Yep, it's all art. Basically, the solid ground should all be the same color, whereas like the kind of background platforms that you only land on are kind of the same color grouping. So kind of like any of those goldish tinted rectangles, you will not be able to wall jump off of because they're in the background. Anything that's kind of like that, neon green, is going to be a solid object.
Dude,
And
the way
lava
those
is the bright green, right?
Yep, that's right.
the way those boxes like bust open, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would suggest maybe it'd be helpful to put the powers on little arms, just so that
Ooh,
like
interesting.
they're on the background, and then he has little arms.
On the background deal, you're talking about like on the background of the character?
Like so when he has skills, instead of being like like there's that very light green on the turquoise gray.
Yeah.
If you put it on a little Emery arm, then it always has the same color in the background. So I'm thinking little Emery arms to make it more apparent which tools you have. Is that a good idea? I don't know. I'm not the professional game developer on this. I just think you'd be cute with that.
Well,
Sure.
I gotta say, I think that like cuteness is like one of the most important things, the most important aesthetics to lean into here, I would say.
Yeah, and I've called this enemy Battletoad.
On my next trip to Tibet, I'll be sure to tell them that they're called that. So what do we think? What do we think, Dale, of when you collect one of these laser things that Emery's eyes would start glowing, like super bright?
I don't know. That might end up just looking creepy. Like, now Emery is possessed. Whoa! Ooh, you got a thing.
Yeah. I really like these no power zones. I think that's an incredibly clever.
Yeah, thank you.
It's like, I mean, this is maybe not a favorable comparison, but in Super Mario Sunshine when you lose FLUDD for those pure platforming things.
That's the exact comparison I was looking for.
That's good.
Yeah.
People have
and
strong
that's-
opinions about it, but that's some. I don't like that game at all, but that's my favorite part of that game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's good to, enforce certain limitations at times. Those sections generally require a bit more thought with the design from a design standpoint. Just you want to make sure that players can always get to their objective without any use of any of their powers. That's actually these white platforms are actually safe to land on. They're bouncy though, so they'll propel you upwards.
Ooh, cool.
Triple
But,
So
O's.
you can't restore on them. That's smart.
What?
Oh, so we can't like restore our energy on the white platforms.
Correct.
This is
Your energy
bouncing
does
it.
recharge slowly over time, and that,
Oh.
I think that was spelled out in the the inspection levels. But
Okay.
I think we might have glossed over it here. Yeah, what were we talking about?
Apparently, we're talking about Tibetan Battletoads.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
So the green ones, which are like a ghostly version of the beetles,
Yeah.
ghostly
Yeah.
variants of enemies can't be shot; they have to be jumped on.
Yeah.
So every world kind of has their own variants of similar enemies. You might remember the orange crystally ones in the cavern level. The opposite is true for those ones. They can't be jumped on. They're too hard and sturdy, so they have to be shot.
Ah.
But yeah, I think one of my other tenets from like the level design standpoint is trying to make sure that every level is actually completable without picking up or using any of the power-ups.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
So I think, yeah, I think people have mixed opinions on that. But for what I'm trying to
Fair.
accomplish, I think it's the right approach.
That's a very Mario Odyssey style of design.
Mhm.
I don't know how I
And-
feel about that. That's like my least favorite Mario. Mark will disagree with me on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will as well.
So that's interesting. That feels like it limits you a whole bunch.
Oh, thank
But
you.
I suppose you could always, like, if you wanted to, like, have like challenge levels that do like push that stuff
Mhm.
at the end of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of also, it's both an accessibility thing where I think, I don't want to force the player into a position where they simply have to use one of their abilities, and that's kind of a Metroidvania trope, right? Where like you literally cannot get further in the world unless you use certain ability. I'm not trying to do something like that.
Okay.
But then I think it kind of goes to what happened there. Did you go through the portal?
I did, and then it zipped me somewhere, and then slowly sapped me of my life force.
Weird.
But I did beat it. You all saw it.
Yep, we all saw it.
Ooh.
I will say,
Um,
two thoughts on the
Ryan.
end of that level. The same thing happened at the end of the prior level, which it looked like there was a jump over the flagpole moment, but in fact there wasn't. Like you have like a little platform on the right side of the screen at the very end, and in this level and in the prior one, it looks like I could go up there. But when I went there, it was an invisible wall.
Sure.
So that either block up that wall or put something fun back there. And then
Sure.
the second thing is when I rescue the friend, then the portal opens up for me to take out of the level. Why don't I just, once you rescue the friend, why doesn't that just trigger the end of the level? Like, why don't I go through the same portal as the friend does?
Oh, I like that idea.
I mean, story-wise, there might be a reason, but I mean, mechanically, there's not really a reason to make me walk a couple more feet and open a new portal, is there?
Yeah, fair question.
You could certainly,
I-
for some levels, you could have an additional challenge. You rescue the friend, and then you have to do a couple more hops. That's an option, and then you wouldn't have to do it for every level, but it would justify that being a separate mechanic. But just for streamline's sake, I would recommend just when you rescue the friend, maybe have the second portal open up automatically and swallow Emery, or if story-wise it makes sense for them to go in the same portal, just do that.
Sure.
All right, joining us right now is Ellen. Welcome. Welcome.
It's me. Hello.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Ellen.
Hello.
Do you want to play, or are you here for Glom?
I'm here for whatever.
All
Play-
right.
Playing's good.
Around for Glom and also play some Thrive with us in
yeah.
15 minutes. Yeah.
Thrive's up next?
Yep.
Excellent.
I
Yeah.
will.
That was my surprise for you. Surprise, you're playtesting your game.
Oh, brutal! Dude, I love this black hole already. This is sweet.
Look at that cute guy.
Ryan, I'm getting the sense.
Uh,
Obviously, these levels were designed after because you're not quite finished with them yet. But I really love the layout. I think they have a real strong sense of space in a way that I think the earlier levels maybe struggle a little bit with.
Sure.
It's a sign that you developed a language and are really working with it. It's cool to see.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I would still like a little more air control, but that's neither here nor there. I really,
Yep,
I
I mean-
these levels are really enjoyable to be in. I like, even the sections that don't require any challenge. It's the play is there, and I love that a lot.
I think I don't mean to sound dismissive of your opinions on like what the air control should feel like, but I know that like movement is one of those things that I always hear like conflicting opinions on, and there's just not really a great way to please every single person.
What's
So
that?
I mean, I definitely value the feedback.
Looks
Sleepy
like
crow.
a bird.
Oh, I killed it. Whoops. It's not my intent, Sleepy Crow.
Maybe it's what you were supposed to do.
Could be.
Okay, so that box that's the 4 squares with the 4 different
Yes.
colors, it reminds me of the Windows logo.
It does
Yep.
look like that, doesn't it?
Was that the intent?
Not directly, no. The pickup boxes that you get like various coins and your pickup abilities out of. Yeah, you're gonna have some camera jankiness here, and I'll apologize for that in advance. But
That's no worry.
basically, this level switches from a horizontal layout to like a vertical one, and so that elbow is really not nice for Cinemachine right now. So I'll have that fixed up soon, hopefully.
These semi-transparent blocks that are not
Yes.
platforms, is there something to this?
Yeah, go ahead and pull left trigger real quick.
Oh, is that an ability I have, or?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a little bit. Oh, and of course it's tied to the.
I love it.
This is an excellent mechanic, but I don't know that there was any way for me to know that was going to happen.
Yep, and I think it kind of ties back to the issue you mentioned where it's not always apparent when
Okay,
you picked up
that
abilities.
last one was not fair.
Oh. Well, you didn't have to press it there, did you?
I let go, and then the platform disappeared. But it's partly an art issue because it looks like the regular platform.
It does. It does.
Yep, I'll need to change the colors on those at the very least.
So man, I think I am not. I keep not paying attention to when I get certain power-ups, which is the root of the problem. Like, I didn't recognize that I picked up that ability.
Yep. Man, you want to talk about like some of the like subtle genius of like certain design decisions made by other games? The fact that Mario's appearance changes like dramatically and like immediately noticeably when they pick up an ability fixes that problem.
So
And
good.
then
Yeah.
it also communicates how many hits Mario can take before he dies. No
Yes.
UI required. So those are the kinds of things that I need to find creative solutions to because I don't work exactly the same way.
Okay, can I ask about the level title on this? Manero is something?
Yeah, that's something I probably shouldn't be exposing right now.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
yep, it's it's kind of the name of the hub world that you're supposed to be
Ah.
accessing these levels from.
Yeah.
So
Well, I noticed the other ones were KK and that reflected the title, but this one was like B something and it didn't quite
yeah,
mesh.
yep, I didn't update the hub world
Okay.
In that case. So very keen eye there, but
Yeah, I like
yeah.
to know how stuff works, so
yep.
it's not
Alright, so
it's not like I realize this game is in development, but I want to know what's going on. Okay, so tell
Yep.
me about the bird that's sleeping. Is Mark supposed to kill it or no?
Yep, it's an enemy just like all the bugs and stuff. It's
It's too cute to be an enemy. You should make it uglier.
I will. I'll have to work on that because I'm not a great artist, and it's not normally what I do. So any art that anyone finds to be particularly good, that's kind of unintentional.
You made the
But-
cutest robot. How could that be true?
Sorry, I cut out there. What did you say?
Oh, I said you made the cutest robot. How could that be
Oh.
true that you're not that great at art?
I mean, I can be, but it takes me a really long time. So I'll a lot of the enemies are going to get reworked at some point in the future, so I'll
Yeah.
keep the feedback in the back pocket.
Yeah, this is all,
This is sweet.
I
love this.
a lot of this can be temp art. So you will see my excellent drawing skills later if you stick around all the way to Glom, the third game we're playing. I'm like, I
Okay.
can make a rectangle, and that's about it.
Yeah, so these new abilities that you're playing with, Mark, the
The bird
the
is crying.
stabilizer and the portal attack are actually pretty fresh off the presses right now. I've kind of made them within the last few weeks, so
Mhm.
I'm sure there's some bugs to find out. But basically, the bird is sleeping.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
So, yeah, so you wake enemies up if you're running near them, because if you're running, you're making too much noise.
Ah.
The bird basically throws a temper tantrum when you wake it up, and it will attack you if you stay near it for too long at that point. And so one of the things that I really overhauled, like I mentioned kind of toward the beginning of the call, that the back-end code for the enemies got a lot of love in 2020. Sleeping is a common behavior to all enemies, so pretty much all enemies that you see, I could configure them to be sleeping at a certain point. I've even toyed with the idea of Emery having an ability that puts enemies to sleep. So I was pretty proud of how that turned out.
All right. So, folks, we are entering into the last 5 to 10 minutes with Emery here before we switch over to our second game, Glom. So,
Ooh.
questions like, do we have any last comments that we want to make on what we've seen here? I suppose I can start. I think that one of the things that I would say is, I mean, obviously, the animations are fantastic, and I think that all I would really want is more out of that. That's clearly a huge source of power that you have in terms of making this game awesome. And I think that doing things like using animation to illustrate that you just got a new power, or to illustrate your character's health. For example, you could even have the character be darker or emit darker puffs of smoke or something when you're lower health, that kind of thing. Using more visual signals, I think, is just a enormous wellspring of communication that you have, and
It's a glass
I'd love to see more of that.
bubble.
What's up?
It's a glass bubble. Sorry, I'm watching. Keep going.
No, yeah, you're up, Dale. You're up.
Oh, I was gonna say, you will get my stream of consciousness on these feeds where I'm like, look, it's in this. Sorry I interrupted you. Yeah, I didn't have that much more to say than what we talked about. It looks really good, and watching Mark play it, it looks really good. It looks like if I was playing it, I'd probably die a whole lot. So
Yeah,
there's
we
probably
had a fantastic time, and I actually really have come around to this idea of being able to complete the level without using any of the power-ups. I sort of wonder, what if that were, maybe you're already thinking about this, but what if that was an explicit challenge or achievement? Because that seems like a very, very fun mode to play the game.
You're tapping into a lot of the unseen stuff here, Lane.
Sure,
I have collectibles that are not going to reveal themselves to you unless you fulfill a very specific condition. Specifically, I have some collectibles that will only appear at the end of a level if you've gotten to them within 30 seconds or so.
Ooh! I love it.
whoa.
That's
And
such a good idea.
that ties into that actually kind of secretly ties into the charge mechanic, because when you're recharging yourself, you can't move. And whenever you're charging something like one of those checkpoints to get a shield, it immobilizes you for a second. So you kind of have to play this balancing act between using your charge to be as strong as possible at the cost of losing a second of your time. And when the stakes are 30 seconds or you miss it, 1 second can make a big difference. So that's one of my favorite things that I guess we haven't seen on stream yet. And then I do have another collectible where it only appears at the end of a level if every enemy in the level has been killed. and
Oh.
I'm going to build off things like that for sure.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
all
that-
still in the plans, but
That
not
is the sort of
actually
thing that
implemented
makes
yet.
a 9-level game feel way, way bigger.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, I care more about every little detail. That's so cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm hoping to have a much better realization of all this before too much longer. But everything takes much longer than expected. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, my having played this game many months ago and playing it now, I think certainly it's starting to feel a little bit more like all of the different pieces that you're putting together are starting to feel more like a complete tableau. Like I think a lot of us are starting to get what you're going for, whereas I think
Yeah.
that we couldn't quite see it because you'd only painted a corner of the painting, and now there's
Yeah.
just that now it's coming into focus, and I think that's really cool.
yeah,
I think the I'm totally with Lane on like all those different challenges that you're planning, like as a going through a level without the abilities, that totally scratches my sort of Mario itch, to sort of the sort of optional challenges that really work in those games,
yeah,
where the game's not asking anything of you, right? It's just there for you if you want it, and I think that's a really
Yep.
good way to motivate a player in a game like this. I will say, like I was
Yeah.
saying before, just about how the game feels, and you were saying obviously there's opinions vary, but I was kind of white knuckling my controller for a lot
Okay.
of my play, just to make basic jumps, without slipping off the edge, and I think it demotivated me from taking risks, which is something
Okay.
you want players to do.
Right.
And I that's my main feedback is I feel that could use a little bit of tweaking, and it's maybe, I mean, like, platformers should be a little slippery. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
everybody wants grippy feet, but like that makes it way too easy. And this isn't a precision platformer, so you don't need perfect control. But I do feel that last bit where I'm hovering as I'm just about to reach the end of a platform, and I'm holding really hard all the way down on the stick, and I'm not moving even a pixel, and then I have to wait 2 seconds to fall. That feels kind of crummy. But I think you'll be tweaking it, and ultimately it's your opinion how you want it to work.
Right.
But I did feel a little bit demotivated from trying things because everything was kind of perilous in a way that wasn't awesome, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I'm always taking feedback on what the controls felt like and what the player experience is like. So, any feedback is good feedback for me.
And for level design, more opportunities to use that wall jump because that feels pretty
Sure.
good. I remember earlier builds getting a handle on how that works and getting a little bit more used to it. And I really like it. I think especially for little hidden areas where players like I think either you make it like a foundational part, like it's all over the place, but it doesn't seem like you're going to do that. And I think that's a good choice, because then what you could do is you could make the player go, oh right, I can wall jump, and that's kind of a fun discovery to have over and over again. So just more of those little things you can pepper in, without having to change a lot of what you're already going for. I think would really be a good little bit of spice on every part of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad to hear that things feel good, at least as far as wall jumping goes. And yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for ways to incorporate it more frequently.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing that last level again with more final art, because that
Yeah,
switching
will make a
mechanic
huge
is so cool. I wasn't paying a ton of attention to enemy placement because I kind of knew we were running out of time on the hour, so I was kind of breezing through the last half. But like, it has a lot of like the layout has depth in a way that is really enticing. So I'm looking forward to playing it again.
Yeah. Feel free to reach out and let me know anytime you have any feedback. So yeah,
Well, it's welcome back next month, if nothing else.
yeah, I'm down for sure.
Cool. All right, what's up next?
Glom is up next, so
Glom
load
is up
up that
next.
tabletop simulator,
All right.
and Ryan, you can stick around and see some of my art just to
Yes.
just to compare.
Yes.
Sure
Okay,
thing.
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
You guys have been busy. We just did this.
Yeah. Yesterday, Steven told me about how much he was looking forward to playing this again, and then we had an empty slot today, so here it is.
Yeah, Dale entirely of her own accord took this game and implemented it in Tabletop Simulator. Listeners may want to know what we're even talking about. Ellen, do you want to fill folks in? Because that episode we developed this game on is not out yet.
No, it's not. So we record every other week, and
Glom. Sorry.
What was that?
I'm telling Mark the server for this game if you want to watch it in Tabletop Simulator, but I'm hoping we can get everybody to play because it is a word game that you can just enter your answer in the chat.
yep. So while Mark is trying to figure that out, basically once in a while we do a nice game jam, right? So if you haven't listened to the show, then what we do is we get a prompt from someone who's not a host. So not Steven, not Mark, not me. And then we try to make a playable game around that prompt by the time we're done recording the episode. And that's usually around an hour. So this Sunday, when we did our latest recording session, we got a prompt that led to this really cool, hilarious word game that's kind of in the spirit of any Jackbox game you may have played in the past, or a little bit of apples to apples feeling to it. So it's we were laughing a lot, as you will hear on the episode when it comes out in a few weeks.
The password is IGDA.
Hey Dale, should I join the room or am I playing by chat here?
Whichever you like.
I think I'll play by chat.
I think it's all
so I can be
capitalized.
So I can be on the same level as everybody.
Okay, sounds great. Sorry.
And I will do the same.
All right. Get ready for some amazing art.
Hey!
Okay, so yeah, the amazing art is the table, the part that I didn't make.
Mm-hmm.
So
The grass too. Nice grass.
yeah, I didn't make that either. So Mike's gonna shovel this deck, and then Ellen, do you want to explain the rules, or do you want me to?
Let's have you explain the rules because you're now more familiar with them than I am, I think, by having to
Okay.
build this thing.
Okay, so you this is a game with 3 different decks of cards. One is the phrase, and the phrase will be something that you have to translate using these set of rules. So this phrase is, do you want tea with a close parentheses and no open parentheses? Why? Because I made this fast. The rule is you have to translate this sentence into a sentence that is made of words, and each word must contain one of the same consonants. And then you're scored on that based on the most letters. If you get the most letters out of your group, you are golden. Now the rules are you can't use any of the words in the original phrase, otherwise you lose points, or in this case letters, in your scoring. And you have 3 minutes to do it, which is what I tried to put on that lovely alarm clock thing that I can't get to face exactly upwards. So that is the gist of the game. Is there anything else I missed? No, just wow, is that amazing art that reminds me of Monopoly cards.
It does look a little bit like that, yeah.
Uh-huh. You got your St. Charles Place here. So anybody in the chat can play. So I am gonna suggest that as we reveal a phrase, a rule, and a scoring mechanism, you start typing in the chat, and when the timer goes out, that's when you hit enter, and then we'll go through and we'll read everybody's sentences. Mark, I see, has a pad of paper out.
Yep,
Is
I like
ready to go.
I like to do this longhand. And presumably, if as a final version of this game printed and produced, we'd have a little, pad of sheets for players. But yeah, let's for the folks in the voice chat, we can give it a go, and anyone on Twitch can try along. And if it doesn't make total sense to you yet, we can play a couple rounds, and you can jump in whenever you'd like.
Yeah, I'm already loving this game. This is those rules were so cool.
Okay.
All right, so it's 2 minutes.
It was 3 minutes. So if you right click and then hit,
Ooh.
and then hit timer. Yep. Okay, and I'm gonna flip them.
I have to stop it.
I know it's not the greatest.
Oh, no E's. That's the worst one.
There's a
Yes.
fire in the theater. No E's. Scoring for most letters.
All right, so I'm starting this clock.
Okay, go.
All right, everybody's got to come up with something, and hopefully.
Oh, ease.
All right.
And if you use an E for every E you use, you subtract a letter for that, as well as not counting.
Can you just add extra words into this in order to get more points?
We were talking about that when we were doing this. It sort of violates the spirit of the thing, but we have not come up with a solid way to police it. So
Perfect.
mess around and find out.
FAFO rules. I love it.
Yeah.
Don't mind if I do. All right.
A lot of the words having to do with fire have ease in them. A flame,
Yeah.
combusted.
I got one. That's not too bad. I don't know if it's an all-timer though. But I'm facing that same thing. It's like, how could I add more words in here without, doing it cheesily?
How dare you accuse mine of being cheesy, Mark? I know who that's pointed at. For one thing, I'd have to find some cheese that doesn't have an E, and I can't do that. Camembert. Shit. I feel like 3 minutes is a long time.
We really struggled with the no ease rule when we
Yeah.
tried this the first time.
Fair.
It's interesting because I'm having a much less trouble with no E's this time. But I think a lot of it's just to do with luck, Like what?
Oh, yeah.
What's in front of you?
Well, yeah, and as always with categories, it's just sometimes your brain makes connections, and some days it just doesn't. I feel like verbal skill is very strongly on or off, depending on the day.
Oh, it's
That's time.
Okay, I'm gonna hit
Alright,
my
press and
thing
enter.
to put it into the chat.
All right, Dale put hers into the chat.
Okay, you want to read mine in the chat, Lane?
Oh, this is so funny. Yeah, so Dale says, "Oh no! In the Hall of Film, a big combustion is consuming chairs."
That is amazing.
And I did break the rule because I used the word is, so I am minus maybe 2 letters or -1 for word.
I must have missed a rule. You can't use the word is?
Any word that's in the original phrase.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And it's always gonna
Got it.
there's always gonna be a little bit of that syntactual glue in there that you can't.
You can't.
Oh, no, the word
it's very
bar.
hard to remove.
We have one in the chat. Showroom is burning right now. That's good.
Like that.
Burning is where I went as well. Mine is Holy crap, our auditorium is burning down. All y'all start running now.
Auditorium is genius. That's great.
I
And mine is
love that.
mine is my word, a smoky conflagration just beyond yon round, my lord.
Oh my goodness.
We did note a tendency to go for alternate like Shakespearean old-timey phrases as substitutes. That seems to be a ready strategy.
All right. Did somebody read the accelerator?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have yet to press enter on their submission? So I feel like Mark.
Our film room is... I just love that.
Oh yeah, we didn't say Ellen's. Do you want to say yours?
Ellen says our film room is burning.
It wasn't nearly as good as some other ones. Mark, I feel like you got to put yours in chat because we want to have like.
Dale, you want to type them in the chat?
Also, I got so excited I spilled my drink, so I'm gonna go grab a towel.
Oh
Now I'll
no!
be right back.
I'm definitely guilty of padding it a little bit, but I think I don't know. Maybe when we were doing this in our game jam, my instinct was like, oh, that doesn't seem. It's like whoever is the most clever in that way, like exploiting the rule. Like, but now, I mean, maybe it's because I'm the one doing it, but like, it's fun. Like, it makes the sentences sillier, and that's kind of the point. But there is a practical limit. You can only I don't know. It's a real tough call to whether to put that in the rules or just let people do
this
whatever.
One being that there is a fire, there is a sense of emergency, and that you have to say more things like "run" or "oh no."
I actually thought of that when I was writing it. Is like there's a fire in the theater. Taken literally, there's things you don't need to say, right? You just need to say our film room is burning. Like that does the job, right?
Yep.
Anything more than that, any content more than that is not required. But contextually, there's a fire in the theater is associated with a warning or evacuation.
Yep.
And so adding that content seems fair, even if it's not directly called for. This might be a case of when we design these cards to have less ambiguity in our phrasing so that the things that are added on that maybe other players would say, I don't know, would be more obvious, I suppose, in that case.
I think that Ellen actually and Accelerator are the only ones who didn't cheat here by adding in an exclamatory phrase or a call to action.
We have not decided it's cheating, but yes, you're right. They're the ones who didn't cheat.
Shall we play another round?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Let's whip them out.
Okay.
We should wait till Ellen gets back, though.
Oh yeah. Here, let me move around the cards.
I'm back, and I've refreshed my beverage,
Oh, perfect.
but I am a little sad about it.
Okay.
Okay, Ellen, where do you stand on the extra clauses question? Like, for example, mine, Dale's, and Mark's all have an exclamation at the beginning that pads it out.
I feel very conflicted about it because I think it makes it really funny to add those things.
Yes.
And I've played games where that kind of extra nonsense just adds to the fun. So I think we got to play around. I think we're gonna have to play around
Let's
with
not
it.
get too legalistic about it then.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my feeling
For what
right
it's
now.
worth, Dale is at 63. I'm only at 60, and Mark is at 71 for this round. So that's a big
Whoa!
win for
All
big W for
y'all
Mark.
start running now. Really brought you over the top.
You know, one solution to this is because the scoring systems, we have the two of them we were playing with in the jam, and I don't know which other ones Dale has added for this version, really are about more words, more letters. If we stayed away from that as scoring mechanisms, then that might make it a moot point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, okay.
But it's hard to have any other kind of scoring system, naturally. We'll see what Dale came up with.
Okay. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
do it.
Phrases. Buy me a hot dog. Each word must contain an E,
Oh.
and the scoring is most words.
I do enjoy how you're flipping the clock every
Oh,
time because
man.
you had it selected.
Can you please fix that for me and then start it?
All right, here we go.
Okay, thank you.
Must have an E, can't use the word me, though.
Uh,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, I mean, you can, and you just get minus points for it.
Oh, right, because it's in the initial phrase.
Yeah.
Ah!
The word "me" has to be banned. No.
Right, you superfluous word adders. I'm gonna get you this time.
Don't you dare. Yeah. Push it so that they change the rule. Completely agree. I love this. This is some culture jamming from Ellen, and I am all on board.
Not only am I adding more words, I'm putting in an M dash. What?
What?
Instant
Oh,
disqualification.
I hope there's
No
a
M
deal on
dashes
both
allowed.
out of that.
Yeah, I'm feeling that these timers are. I don't know if I got smarter since Sunday or what, but like I feel like the timer is luxurious in its length.
I mean, we can try it with 2 minutes.
Silence makes
next
me
time.
think I'm the only one with that opinion, though.
No, I think it's too long too.
No, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I mean, maybe 2 minutes might be okay too, but I like being able to have a little bit of time to think about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because then you can make it funny.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I've got it. I've solved it. I've met minimum viable. Now I can really make it sing. You know, rather than the time pressure becomes how much funnier, how special can you make it, rather than the time pressure being can you complete the assignment at all.
yeah. I am getting 2 minus points on this at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyone in chat got one to share first?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can put.
I suppose
mine in chat.
everyone's a little bit behind us on the streams by various degrees. So.
Oh,
Ah.
Dale, that's so good.
You know,
Okay, could we read them as we put them in so that we have the audience's attention on one thing at a
Yeah.
time?
Okay.
Dale's
Yeah,
super.
yeah.
Okay, I said, purchase my teeth 1 meat tube above a single slice baked wheat bread.
It's so
So-
good.
Here, I did not use an E in my or a.
Yeah, that's tricky. I think initially we were thinking like because the time pressure was so tight, we were thinking we should let you break the rules at a cost. But here's the thing.
I agree.
Using I'm starting to change my mind on that because Dale's sentence, for example, if her breaking the rules allows her to do it at all. Do you know what I mean? Like each word must contain an E is so restrictive that if you just let yourself not do it, then you open up a ton of possibilities where, and so I think that
Oh yeah.
in that
I think
case
the penalty has to be really strong. Like each
Yeah.
word that does it is like minus like 10 or 15 points. It has to be big.
it has
Yeah.
yeah, in order to make it a trade-off, that's real.
Because
Yeah.
you're right. The flexibility of the sentence structure is just so easy that way.
And the thing is because of the different combinations of these three categories, and when we were coming up with some of these ideas, it's limited based on the data we had. Like there is a huge variability in how these things work and where the challenge lies. And so, and I think we're just starting to realize that now. Ellen, you'll say yours out loud now.
Give over one sausage, please. Double the condiments.
It's so simple. It's so good though.
That one's a really
so
great
good
one.
though. It's perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
Minus points.
I'll do
Mine
mine next.
is. Oh sure, go ahead.
Please purchase, then give myself one Frankfurter.
Thinking
Oh.
myself.
That's
Yes.
good.
It's not quite grammatically correct, but
Yes. It makes one less assumption than mine does, so I think it's cleaner than mine. Okay, mine is digestive distress demands heroically yeeting the meaty wiener over there eastward.
eastward.
Word.
I'm assuming that I'm standing to the
Oh,
east, my
Oh,
friend.
over there.
Why not say over here?
Yeah, right. You get to say over here. That's what you need to do.
I'm gonna make a stand here and say that Ellen's probably way smarter than me with that answer.
I kept trying to when I was trying to I was thinking about I can't say how do I say give that to me, and I was like these there's an e in there. I'm like no, it has to be one hot dog. Oh wait, one has an e in it. Thinking about the sort of hidden you have to kind of suss out some of the rules of the phrase. There has to be a reference to
Yes, finding a way to refer to me without the word me is so hard.
yeah, I mean over here works really well for that.
Yep.
That implies enough without saying it. And buy, I think I had purchase, but also yeet to me or whatever. That's also good, right? Give I think also works okay. But I mean maybe it depends on what group of people are playing it. But in terms of the spirit of the phrase,
The way
I was
the way
going to
that I'm-
say,
Go ahead.
accelerator, I'm looking for your phrase, please.
we're all waiting patiently.
They're
Ellen, what do you say?
probably not on anymore. Go ahead, Ellen.
I'm good with this. The way that I'm envisioning Lane's situation here is that
Yeah.
there's a mighty eastward wind, coming from the east. So the vendor is going to yeet this hot dog into the wind,
Yeah.
and it'll blow back into Lane's face.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody gets this. That's exactly where it needs to be.
Oh, that's funny.
Now I want to figure out. Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah,
So
relatable
hard.
accelerator.
Yeah, so Accelerator says, I got to purchase myself and had a brain fart the rest of the time.
I mean that was the path I went down too. It's not it's rough.
It is rough. Okay.
Okay,
I
one more,
don't-
please.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Leonix, the person who kind of prompted me to have this ready recently, is on and what their phrases are looking like. Okay, pulling out the things. Mark, do you want to reset the timer?
All right. Just tell me when.
Okay, I'm going to flip these over. The phrase is, my hovercraft is full of eels.
No.
Oh
Yes.
my god.
Good one.
Sorry, I was looking on Lonely Planet and phrase guides for people in foreign places.
Yeah.
And this was their joke one all the time.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, the rule is exactly 4 words.
Oh crap.
Most
And the scoring is whoever has the most words that start with vowels.
and you may think
Oh my
that could lead to a lot of
goodness.
ties. We can talk about that after this
No.
round is complete.
I made these up all by myself while watching a movie. So
All
send
right.
your complaints to me and
Time
I
begins.
won't care. Yeah, this is an unusual combination of rule and scoring.
Oh,
Yeah, it
it's
really is.
great. I love
I
it.
wonder
I love
what
it.
the scientific name for eel is.
Uh-huh.
2 minutes is just enough to Google something.
No, I think that's a
I
dirty
might
cheat.
come up with nothing on this one.
It's not written out of the rules, Lane, so I'm not gonna go that it's fine.
Oh my god.
I would say use your noodle, not your Google, right?
Yep.
But I have such a good one.
Well, then break the rules. It's allowed.
Okay, well I just put it into chat so that everybody knows that
Dang.
It does.
That's a
I'm
gimme.
not gonna use it.
Yeah, I'll abstain. I think I have more dignity than that. Slightly.
It would
Use
take
your
me the
noodle,
rest of
not
the
Ellen's
time
Google.
just to write out that word and make sure that
It's funny because you want all 4 words to start with a vowel, and that really slows you down because they don't all have to. Like 3 is still pretty good, you know.
No, but what if somebody else has 3?
I've got 4 down, but none of them are vowel-y.
I have vowel-y words, but it doesn't make sense.
Mine's pretty funny, but it's not a high-scoring answer.
Most words that start with vowels, so I guess at least if I have 1, I'm at least on the board, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not minus at this point.
Is eel pout is not an eel. An eel pout is a fish.
Is Y a vowel in this scenario?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Ooh, my spelling is bad.
Acceleration. I mean, hold on. What is it called? Punctuation doesn't count as a word, right?
No.
You know, if
Thank
there were
you.
eels in my hovercraft, I would just swear.
Ellen's is just a swear word. 4 swear words.
10 seconds.
I've brought shame on my family. Oh.
That's
All
it.
right, that's the time.
Okay, I'm gonna put mine in the chat first.
Okay.
I used Ellen's Google, and it says, "Future car ate a numerous and uniforms."
It's pretty good.
Oh, Aqua Snakes, all about air vehicle from Steven.
Abuse.
I think fish all around.
Future car. Future.
Yes.
Here's mine. Are aerocraft Uzi? Yes.
Perfect. And I have no reference to it being mine. I have amphibious accelerator overflows with electrocutors.
W/ is not punctuation.
I'm pretty sure it is, Mark. It's practically an ampersand.
Dude.
Oh, accelerator actually has maybe the highest scoring one this round. That's really good.
Well, but eels is from the phrase prompt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Eels
yeah,
that's a big
expanding
minus.
our aircraft.
That's a
Ooh,
big
Davin
minus.
Creed
Aircraft,
says,
though.
If only he had cheated or she had cheated with anguilliforms. Sad.
Anguilliforms.
Uniforms.
Expanding our aircraft.
Yes.
Davin Creed says, "Electrified snakes engulfed aircraft."
Stephen
That
wants
one's
everyone
amazing.
to know that all of his started with vowels.
And so he's the winner.
Well, he'll be disappointed to remember that all of mine started with vowels also.
Hold on. You didn't paste yours into chat, so we can't verify that.
Yeah, I don't remember it. It was
Here,
30
let
seconds
me
ago.
let me
Oh,
put
this
it
is
in.
terrible. I can't stand this long form business.
Wait, what's this word?
Our.
Oh, R.
I just went with effing fish all around.
That's so good. What I like is that when you have exactly 4 words, there has to be some things left unsaid. You know?
Yes. Electrified snake engulfed aircraft is just so good.
That is really good, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Whoa, okay, Y is totally being used as a consonant there. I can't
Oh,
let
no,
this
that's-
pass. Steven wins.
Oh!
I would go with, if someone said electrified snake engulfed aircraft, I would be concerned. But if someone said our aircraft Uzi, yes, I would call a doctor.
Okay. I'm gonna set up for the next round, everybody.
Well, this
Thanks
is a
for
case
playing along,
where
everyone.
I would think, Lane, I think you're right. I think my use of Y does not count the sometimes Y, right? I think
Uh-huh.
that you could rule against me in that case.
Yes.
So Steven is the winner in that instance.
Legend.
But
Congratulations,
but-
Leonix.
let's imagine that there was a 2-way or 3-way tie in a rule system like that, like exactly 4 words and must start with vowels. You could imagine that happening not infrequently.
Yep.
We have been trying to come up with a tiebreaker system that sort of has a Jackbox style, everyone votes for their favorite kind of quality, and we haven't quite figured
I like
out
that.
exactly how that works. But lucky for us, we didn't have to do it this time because there was a winner.
Right.
And
The tiebreaker is sheer confidence, and he's dripping with it.
Yeah, we got a great compliment from Accelerator. This game seems like a great icebreaker, and you can play it with any number of people, even by yourself. So true.
Yeah, I think before we stumbled on this has to be a multiplayer game, but when these rules, in the flurry of us coming up with it, it was going to be like, oh, and then you don't actually. It was going to be a versus. Somebody had to come up with the phrase and the rules, and somebody else had to solve the puzzle, because that was the prompt, to make it a puzzle game. And we thought, oh, we could just have a deck of cards fill these, and then you don't need that second person. And then, so we had a solitaire idea, but then immediately it was like, oh, this could totally work with any number of players. So so now it feels much more like a multiplayer game. But you're absolutely right. The rules totally work for you just to, like when you play Trivial Pursuit with the deck in your hand and just on the couch, answering trivia to yourself. It totally works as a fun thing to do by yourself.
Thought it would
Or
be
failing
a
to
great...
answer trivia.
Yeah.
I also thought it would be a great road trip game.
Yeah.
Because you can have 4 people, or 3 people, or 4 people, however many's in your car, writing things down, and the driver gets to either try to think of something, or they just get to laugh if they can't come up with something without writing down the words.
Yeah.
Yeah, the driver could even judge.
I'm kind of curious how everybody feels, because personally, I feel like I need to have the pen and pad in front of me, or a text box or something, to do the thinking. But I don't know. I don't know if that's a universal experience. Like, would the driver be able to participate, or would anybody be good at that? Or
I think everybody would be terrible at that.
Okay,
Maybe
that's
it's
kind of what I
best
was thinking
to have
too.
them judge.
Which is funny, though. I mean, the thing is that this is what I love about games like this. Being bad at it makes the game better sometimes.
Yep.
Okay, so I have set up another round.
Okay.
Mark, if you would like to
right.
reset that clock.
I would indeed. Let me know when it's time to go.
Okay, and I'm going to flip the cards.
And we're just going to get right to it.
Okay, the phrase is, where do you live? The rule is, each word must contain the same consonant. The scoring is most vowels. Wow!
Wow, there's a lot of possibilities here.
Oh my goodness.
goodness.
Wow.
Okay. Go, go,
There
go.
are fewer
Monsters.
constraints here, ultimately. But, oof, okay. Let's have at it. It's the not using the actual words in the phrase that might be the toughest.
Oh, we can't use you and do. Crap.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna get around that.
Mine's really bad. I have just enough time to not fix it.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Dang it.
Okay. I'll put mine in the chat first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I said owns house. So whereabout is this?
So owns house. So what?
Okay, Mark, you're not allowed to say that. Not after the eel one.
I love it. Okay, Dale, could you explain this to us? We'll be the circumstance.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
diagram
it'd
it
be
for us.
like you own a house, except I couldn't use you, so I just cut it out. Owns house. So whereabouts is this? So where's that house you own?
Right. And so what's the consonant you're using?
S.
S. Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
there is a
Okay.
tendency to do caveman speak,
Yes.
right?
bad grammar.
I did it too.
Uh-huh. Maybe we need to say that things like you and me and I.
There's a certain whitelist of words that just are
Yeah.
like, okay. Yeah. Huh.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that circumnavigating the English language to try to make it work, is half the fun. I would not whitelist anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Ooh,
where might thy reside?
Well, that's a good one.
accelerator. Wow.
That one's like a I have a the in mind. I totally but
Ah,
that is
okay.
that's a cogent sentence. I admire it.
Yep. And you're
Now, okay, question for you. I do have a point of order. If you said something like whereabouts,
Yeah.
is that too close to one of the words because it contains one of the words?
words.
I would say yes, but I could not technically fault it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I mean this has to be like a section in the booklet about like
I respect it.
you know
Yeah.
kind of like how you can't add like there are certain word games where you can't just add an S in like a crossword game. I think most allow you to, but there are some that don't, and that has to be specified because otherwise it obviously follows the rules. And I think what your example makes a lot of sense because it is a different word, but. Yeah, so maybe it could just be you can't use any of the words or
And
in-
your words can't contain parts of it.
yeah, actually phrasing it. But again, is that too restrictive? I mean, is it clever to come up with a
know.
word that's similar? Like, and it's not like everyone won't be able to do it. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's a level playing field.
I think that well, okay. For me, a big part of the fun is finding a way to construct a sentence in a very different way that doesn't require those things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so let's hear what you got, Mr. Mark.
All right. To what municipality that the tenant? It almost works. I'd say it almost. I could get away with it in the
Yeah.
court of Glom.
And your consonant is a T.
It's a T. Yeah. I made the
Okay.
decision early, and it was
I'll
like,
type it
oops,
in
like
the
I should
chat.
not have.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody else... Did Ellen say hers?
I haven't
No.
yet, and I will, but I realize now that while it's got some vowels, it doesn't meet the rule criteria.
Oh no.
So, Accelerator and I were, using some of that archaic language.
Doth thou originate? That's cool. Okay.
Okay,
But
let's
it doesn't
workshop
have
this. What doesn't work about it? Let's fix it.
It doesn't have the consonants. It doesn't have the right consonants.
Oh, you
Is it-
didn't worry about that.
I
Okay,
forgot.
couldn't you replace the word from which with the word whither?
Whither location?
Whither doth thou-
originate? Oh, that's great.
Originate.
Yeah.
Then
And you
it,
got
well,
T's.
would it be T?
That's
That would
so
be it.
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Ellen, I love it.
nice.
All right, and here's mine. Mine's creeping up on you. Approximately locate the cottage that thaws those wintry toesies.
That's pretty good.
I love approximately. That's so genius.
It's so unnecessary.
Part of me is like, no way, but then the other part of me is like, no, I gotta hand it to him.
Yeah.
If
So
I
see,
cut
so
off that
so
first
many
word, though, I
vowels.
think it would be pretty clean.
Yeah.
Lane, I'm curious. Did you pick how did you come to rest upon this sentence and to use T as the consonant? Did you
Well,
you decided which consonant and then you just structured the sentence around that?
Yeah. Well, I figured that tea would probably be the easiest because I came up with locate and cottage pretty early, so I settled on tea. But then I couldn't think of any way to say you without resorting to flagrant cheating of Old English. So I had to, I had to really start workshopping it.
Part of me is like, oh, we just lean too hard on caveman speak and old timey speak, but like, fine. Like,
Thanks for joining us, Accelerator. Bye.
yeah, thanks for contributing. It's you really elevated the playing field.
Yeah, I would say, hey, Leonix didn't have an entry that round. Does he have one?
He said it was too tough.
Oh,
Yeah, he
too
said
tough.
he couldn't
Too
go with
tough.
anything.
Okay, shall we put another?
There's like a dam breaking quality to this game where it's like you could be totally stymied, and then it could come to you in a flash, and that could happen at any time in the 3 minutes, right?
Yo.
Yeah, but I think the other thing too is like when I get stuck on these kinds of questions, I just like
Real quick, listeners, viewers may have noticed that Leonix gave up on this round, and according to the overlay that showed up on stream, immediately started playing Skullgirls. He took his encyclopedia and went home.
Okay, shall we play another round?
Please, yeah.
Okay. And at this point, we want to mention what's the next game, because that's about 10 minutes away.
That's true.
Yeah, next game coming up hot is going to be Thrive. And that's one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I know you have as well, Mark.
Do we need a online player who could join in, or how many?
I believe that the digital version of Thrive that Martin is working on is a single-player experience.
Okay.
I don't know if it has a two-player mode, but he can let us know.
Okay.
It definitely works as a one-player experience.
Leonix says, Skullgirls is the truth! All caps. That's why I yelled it. All right.
All right, let's get this timer.
And if you want to be that player, drop a line in the chat, and we'll make Lane do it and not write a sentence.
Oh, that would break my heart. It'd be so sad.
Here we go. Mark's resetting the timer, and I'm going to flip over the things.
Yep.
Okay, flipping over the phrase. The phrase is, do you want tea?
Okay.
Use only one vowel.
Wait, the whole sentence?
Well, only A's or only E's.
Oh, I see. Okay. Whew.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, we'll see. And the scoring is whoever has the longest word in the sentence.
All right.
Oh my gosh, this is hard.
Okay. And why is only a vowel if it is actually like used as a vowel, right?
Yes, Lane.
It has to be used as a vowel throughout the whole sentence.
Why all the time?
Yeah, you're gonna only use that. Yeah, that's kind of rough.
I don't even know if anybody will be able to come up with this one because I made up that rule last night while watching the movie.
No, I already got it.
What? No.
Easy.
When I see it.
30 seconds and done.
Yeah, this is too many words have more than one vowel in them.
Uh-huh.
Just like I really bend the rules of proper grammar here, and I've got one. But
yeah, well, that's impressive because that I don't think mine says "Do you want tea" at all.
can't wait to play this with my family at some point. Really big Scrabble family, and
Oh.
very serious about the rules. So it would just
Oh my
it
goodness.
would get nasty. Be hilarious.
Wow. There we go.
Is that your answer? It's
Easy. Easy. No, I actually do have one other
I mean,
one.
honestly, if no
It
one
works.
can have a better than a 6-letter word, that's good, right?
yeah. It's a full
We'll
sentence.
see.
I mean, I
believe in
guess
you.
sort of.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's it. Anybody get anything better than drinks?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna type it in now. Seeped Bev.
Oh,
Seeped Bev.
couldn't even include the tea. Refreshment. Oh, that is so
Jamming
smart.
Creed.
Yeah, man.
Hey, fur. All right.
Hey, Yeefer.
Ye for
Let me try it. Hey, ye for brew refreshment? That's so good. Refreshment.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, you want to read yours?
Oh, I didn't really quite get there. I was thinking like I went with A for some reason, which was probably a bad choice. But I was like,
Mad lad.
like want. I was under like want can scald, like. But it's not quite a sentence. It's not even quite all the parts, and every word of that is shorter than Lane's words. So.
Lane, did you come up with a second one that's not the joke
Sure.
drinks?
I mean the like bolt from the blue that is refreshment is just crazy. I have
amazing.
steeped greens, Fred.
I like that. That's great.
Would offer me steeped greens, I would have questions. That's not the thing you just say yes to right off the bat, you know? Like, what do you mean? I was feeling pretty good about mine until Davin Creed came in with refreshment, and it's just
know.
Yeah, blew us all away.
blew us. Yeah, mine was OJ or oolong.
Whoa,
that's good.
Non-E. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
Refreshment.
very
I like that a lot.
It's gonna stick with me for the rest of the day.
I was just like, I was just scared to think of a word that was longer than a syllable, because every time I did that, it was like, there's 4 different vowels in that one, and so I didn't take the risk to even consider. Like I would have thought, if I had the thought to use refreshment as a synonym, I would have immediately discounted it as surely there are other vowels in that word. I didn't have the daring to go for it.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, he has to be wrong.
Yeah.
No,
Let me audit every one of those characters. Well, I'll be damned.
E.
Okay.
It's such an excellent execution of like it of the longest word in a sentence. Like that really showcases like how mixing up the rules and the scoring can lead to like really interesting motivations. And like
good.
different results that like that leverage those that would be useful then and not in other cases. Like it's really exciting.
Okay, so I'm going to put out another call for somebody who wants to play Thrive Online, unless we have a player. And then I was going to make this, squeeze in one last round of this, because I only have one scoring card that we didn't use.
We have exactly 3 minutes, so
Okay,
let's make it
let's
happen.
go. Okay, Mark, reset the timer.
Oh, I have a job. I forgot.
Yes. Okay, the phrase is, when is dinner? The rule is, all words more than 3 letters long must start.
Okay.
Yes, they had.
Do you remember what the rest of that was supposed to say?
I think with the same consonant.
That sounds hard.
Oh, okay.
It feels complicated.
Okay, and the
Yeah.
scoring is the letter I's or I's.
Whoa.
We're getting into the weeds with this one, but okay, let's do it.
Well, know what? Whatever. You didn't. You only came up with 3.
What if we
As a team of 3. Oh, are you gonna change the rule on us?
I'm calling it audible.
Okay. Only single syllable words.
All right, I'm good with that.
Oh man, I was totally gonna go with like beholders or something with a shit ton of eyes.
I like
you
that
still
reading of the
have-
rules.
I mean,
Most eyes.
Oh man.
Ah, time. No. Okay.
Oh man. I'm gonna be my own harsh judge on here and say I can't do that.
Shoot.
I have so many words and none of them have eyes in them.
Terrible. Caveman speak. That's my strategy.
okay.
All right, that's that.
Okay. I will put mine down first. At which time is the meal, and will the tin bell toll?
Pretty good. I mean, that's like 2 questions, but okay. It's okay.
That's true. There's nothing about a dinner bell in that phrase. Okay.
I love that though, because not only was there nothing about a dinner bell, bell toll has no eyes in it. So basically, like, it's just for fun.
Yeah.
It's for that tin.
You get 10. But so it would work if you say, at which time is the meal where the tin bell tolls?
But the will has an eye in it.
Oh, right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Who else
I'll do
has
mine
one?
next.
All right. Ellen.
I will do it in my best caveman voice.
Okay.
Which time is it each time?
It's good. I love it. Which
Just
time? That's the worst. That's the worst part of it.
No, the worst part, I used time twice.
It works. I think that's totally legit. Mine is. I say, what time do you think late meal would be? So I got all of 3 eyes in there. I wanted to say din din, but one that uses part of the word dinner, and as a hyphenated word, it's 2 syllables. And just
I don't know
din,
about
I don't
that
think would
part.
count. So I held back on
I
that.
would have strongly supported you if you had said din dins.
Or just din.
And
One
here's
din.
and here with no
No.
connection at all
No,
is
I,
mine.
We know how much you care about the rules, Mark.
Bill, at what time will I
Nope,
get
instant
some
disqualify.
dividends from my
Nope,
outcome?
nope. Aye. I see why you would support my potential use of the
Yeah, because I'm a
the
strong
obviously
friend and ally, like always.
Dins. I do appreciate that you added Tum Tum, totally unnecessarily.
It makes Din Din feel a little bit more in place.
Yeah.
It's merely to distract from Din Din.
Stop revealing my strategy.
Yeah, I think there's enough variability, and I think everybody is pretty comfortable being disqualified. But also sometimes you're like, no, I really want to argue for this one. We do just need someone, a rotating judge, to just make arbitrary calls. It's the only way this works. And we need to make it very clear in the sort of tone of the game that those arbitrary rulings are not what's right; they're just what is.
Yeah.
Like and only now there's no consistent rule set. Like it's not case law, right? It's just
Right.
like
Well,
Alice thinks that Din Din is fine, so it's fine. You know what I mean?
Okay, and here comes Davin. I'm assuming to put us all to shame.
Probably.
Which time is this evening meal going to be ready? So,
There's a couple of
It's
multiple
pronounced
syllable
wrong.
words in there.
which
It's
time
pronounced
is this
Vang.
evening meal?
Vang.
Still two syllables.
Which time is
Gonna-
this Eve
Gone,
meal
be
gone?
ready.
Gone, ready.
Go and be ready.
Which time
Gone. Yeah.
is this
to be ready.
Eve's meal
We're all trying to make it work. We're all
to
trying.
be read? To be it. Yeah, I know it happened to me last time too, but it happened to me like 10 seconds before the end of the timer. So
Yeah.
there's no hope for me.
But like with these harder ones, 3 minutes feels pretty right. Like
Yeah.
it felt a little long at the beginning, but I think it felt right. I don't know how I managed to pull all those cards in that order to make the hardest ones last.
I can see another vote for which time though, so that
Did you throw out my all words must end in a vowel?
yeah, I figured if I was
Yeah.
calling it audible, I didn't want to do another one that was as tricky.
Fine.
Sorry.
Well, folks,
That's okay.
I have to drop off. So
Yeah,
I'm
thank
so
you,
glad that we
Ellen.
played this tonight. Yeah, and thanks thanks to Davin and for Accelerator for playing along.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll probably see this again at some time.
I think so. It's way too much fun to not do anything with.
And I'll say, listeners to Nice Games Club will hear us create this game in a couple of weeks on the show. But we only came up with 3 things per category. Dale created all the rest of this yesterday and today.
Enjoying a lovely dinner date, watching a movie on the couch with my husband for our anniversary.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is what I was doing. Materializing his game.
All
All right.
Well, speaking of single syllable words with eyes that end in a vowel, should we invite our next game up?
That sounds like a plan.
We should.
Have a good evening, Ellen. We'll see you soon.
I'm gonna go get some din dins in my tum tum.
Oh, you reminded me. I wanted to get some din dins. I was gonna order it online, and now I've lost my phone because I lose things frequently.
So 8 o'clock is when we decide that we fall apart.
All right. So, are we getting Martin in the chat?
We should be getting Martin in the chat.
And do we have a player?
I don't believe we have one officially designated. So the
Yeah,
slot is still open.
Your IGDA TC volunteer was a little slow there. Martin is now cordially invited on the event stage.
Well, Martin is part of the IGGATC board, and so he can enter the event stage. He can crash it
I
whenever he
like to
chooses.
feel special, Mark.
I'm just saying
welcome
it's not your fault. Martin is here.
I am here.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
Martin.
Yes,
Did
we
you?
can hear you.
Were you around for playing that game? And why didn't you type your thing in the chat?
Okay, so my dirty secret is that I was kind of double booked for tonight, and when you suggested that maybe we could push it back to 8, I was like, oh, perfect. Now I can pay attention to this
Nice.
other thing that I'm supposed to be doing. So it sounded like you were having a lot of fun, and I was a little bit jealous that I was not participating. I was like half paying attention just in case I was needed, but I was not able to give you my full attention, sadly. But also, I'm terrible at those kinds of games, so it's probably for the best.
That's okay. I was just giving you crap, and I'm glad everything worked out.
It did, yes. I've like closed the other thing, so you have my full undivided attention now.
Whoa.
All right. So who is gonna? So Martin, I know I was playing this a little bit earlier when I got the build today. Playing against the AI. Is there a 2-player option in this build, or should
There is. There absolutely is. Yep.
What would you recommend in terms of what you're looking for playtest feedback? Because this is a finished game. You're not looking for feedback on the rules or the mechanics or the play, but about this application, correct?
Yeah. So the board game itself, like the rules aren't going to change or anything like that. So that's a good point. It would be feedback on like the UI. It's a little bit weird though because this is a touchscreen app, and we're going to be. I assume everyone's going to be playing it with a mouse and keyboard. But really, just a mouse. You're going to simulate touching the screen with your mouse, because otherwise it's not going to work. So I think actually the roughest part of the app, in my opinion, is the camera control, and I've got some ideas for how to fix that. The other thing that I wouldn't mind feedback about, although I'm not 100% sure I'll have time to actually implement any feedback, is about sort of the replayability, or like I've got sort of what I am considering kind of a poor man's campaign mode in there, essentially. I don't know if you even looked in this, but if you click the achievements button, there's some stuff in there, and I would like to reorganize it, like at the very least, but I'm not even sure I'll get time to do that. So
yeah.
Do they all start with win a game?
So, I can describe that. Does somebody want to open it? Like, because I'm still looking at like the.
Yeah, you're a few seconds behind Mark.
Yeah,
so
you're probably you're more than a minute behind if that's the case. Cause...
Let me just refresh then.
Okay.
Because I was noticing that, like, as I was listening, I was not seeing the... Oh, now I'm definitely seeing it. Okay. Like, earlier I was noticing it seemed like I was pretty far behind. Oh, and there's been a bunch of chat, too.
I think Twitch prioritizes consistency over timeliness. But for events like this, when we're doing a lot of interactivity, and that's not uncommon for Twitch streamers to be interacting with their audience. It's actually a standard use case. But I have, over the course of the year we've been doing this, have been very surprised at how some people could be 5 minutes behind the stream and how frustrating that can be. And yeah, sometimes a refresh will be all it takes.
Yeah, I will say that
it seems like
I'm on this computer and we're all using the same internet, and mine constantly just freezes, and so I'm still looking at some of.
You're still looking at Glom. That's hilarious.
I'm still looking at some Glom things.
So it goes.
Pause and
we can certainly bring. If you need to be up to date, we can get you in via Parsec, so you can see exactly what I'm seeing exactly when I see it, as well as any player we bring in.
So these are basically just all combinations of the start conditions. So you can change the various like starting positions of the pieces, and then all positions of the pegs as well.
Oh, cool.
And so it's basically every combination is in there, and it keeps track of whether or not you've won a game against the AI with those conditions.
Oh, so those.
So these are like chess challenges, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It's cool.
Would you think, Mark, that calling that something like missions or something like that would be more clear than calling them achievements?
I would almost call them puzzles.
Puzzles, sure.
Or and I'm not as super familiar with it, but actually using the language that is used for these kinds of chess exercises, whatever it is that they call them in that arena, would make a lot of sense here because they feel very similar. I think you start a little bit more from scratch, but
yeah. So like exactly a chess puzzle is usually like you would you would have like 2 moves or something to win the game. Like it would say like win in 2 or black to move, mate in 2 or something like that. This is more like you're playing a full game just with like slightly different starting conditions,
So
which
this
is pretty different. But
one where I was gonna ask, maybe Mark is the best one to playtest this because he's played Thrive before and is very astute to user interface things.
Yeah, and any failings
And
I can have as an abstract strategy game player, I could account by saying that I was paying attention to the user
Oh,
experience,
that's perfect.
not my strategy.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you want a second player in there. Is that a possibility? Or if we just should have him try the AI because you're looking for a little bit of feedback on the AI. By which I mean I don't want to play this because I want to sneak off to use the restroom.
Yeah. I've never.
we call
played
that a
Thrive,
bio
so
break.
I would be happy to jump on.
That's true.
We need
I
that.
need I need a bio break.
Well, I'm loading Parsec back up because we didn't really need it in the last round, and so anybody wants to pop in? I see Lane is asking to join.
Yeah,
Martin, if you want to pop in as well, just to get a up-to-date view on what's going on.
I don't think I have Parsec on this machine actually.
Okay.
So does Parsec work on a Mac? It probably does.
I think so.
But
Yeah.
I've just never loaded it up here.
Yeah. There is a web interface, but I think they don't recommend using it particularly on Mac. But yeah, it should be okay. The client should be okay on Mac. I think they even have a Linux client, which is sort of. I suppose if you're in the gaming space, there's a lot to be had by serving the underserved Linux market. So I guess I'm not that surprised.
Okay, I'm downloading the Mac client.
Okay.
just
Well,
for
Lane and I
this.
can get started in the meanwhile.
Perfect. Ooh. Okay.
Okay. Initial piece positions. Okay, done. So Lane, are you able to? Let's see. I should give you mouse control. Can you go ahead and move that mouse?
Let me take a look. Okay, it tells me the host is doing something else. Oh, there we go. I think that I am, yes.
Okay.
Do you see me moving it around?
I don't see you moving it around.
Okay. I'm going to try hitting start game, see if that does anything.
Oh, there we go.
Wait,
Now-
hold
now it's
on.
going.
Before you do that,
Yeah.
I wasn't watching. Did you change it to be against another player versus against an AI?
We
Yes.
totally did. Yeah.
Okay.
And
all
we're
right,
sharing
cool.
we're sharing
Yes.
one mouse, so it's going to be hilarious.
Awesome.
Okay.
And we're going to leave the game set up by default. I took a peek in this menu before. We'll start the game. And so whichever one of us wants to be player one can be player one. Lane, would you like that to be you?
Sure. Let's go.
Alright.
Let's go. All right.
So unfortunately, the tutorial isn't... I don't think the tutorial is going to show up for you.
Yeah.
But that...
I sort of understand the basics. I've been on the website. I've been like anticipating this game for a little bit. I have not played it yet though.
Yeah.
So I know I can move, and then I can place one piece that gives me more options.
2, in fact.
2, in fact. Okay.
Yeah, it'll sequence it for you, so it'll always tell you what to do next.
Okay. Cool. All right. Very intuitive controls so far. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and control the left side. I have a good feeling about that.
Now, one thing that you'll learn from the tutorial that you're not seeing here is that you can place the 2 pegs on any of your pieces.
Oh, okay. So I can do. Can I do this? Finish, and then toss one over here as well.
Yes.
Interesting. All right.
And you can put 2 pegs on the same piece, but
Okay.
I'll need that mouse back though, Lane.
Oh yeah, of course.
But you will you do have to enter in and out of the sort of add a piece interface to do that.
Yes.
Let's see. What can I do to best?
And Martin is taking some notes, enjoying my pincer opening there.
So if I wanted to add 2 of my pegs to this piece, I couldn't do that because this interface is like pick a spot for a peg. Then I finish, and then I can go back to it
Do it
if I
again.
want to.
Oh.
Which it makes perfect sense. It's a little bit, and perhaps the player guidance is to spread out your pegs. But I did find that a little strange. But I don't know if I have a solution as to how to make that feel more natural. Because as a touchscreen app, you want everything to be sort of very. Your interactivity should be kind of feels sequenced. So I understand where that comes from. But Martin, you can certainly tell me where my intuition is correct or incorrect.
I think it's not. I don't know what the interface would be if you were going to do 2. If you were going to allow 2 right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Like I think that
Well, could you?
because
put-
it's too easy to like.
I thought if you were to like zoom in on it, right, and then you could like tap in 2 different locations, it wouldn't like put the peg in there yet, right? It would only put the peg in once you hit finished, and so you could like tap once to put a peg in, tap again to take that peg out if you tap the same spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a smoothness to be able to pick any space and pick any other space, but you already have plenty of time to decide where you're going to put it. And if you change your mind, I don't think it's that much of a burden to click it again to remove it. Especially because that imitates how you would do it physically, right?
Sure.
All right, Atari. Let's go ahead and.
I was gonna say that
That's some
place
Go
us-
parlance.
to place the second one, maybe you want to change the language on that button from finish to place.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
I
finish
don't know if I
was a
wanna-
little bit confusing the first time I saw it too.
Oh, wait, hold on. What if I don't want to go back? Okay, that's cool. I don't know if I want to protect this spot or if I just want to pile more stuff up on the middle. Ah, interesting. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and just put some options there. Yeah.
The way you
Oh, I should-
react in this game is very different from other types of games of its type. So it takes a little while to unlearn
No.
it, I think.
Yeah. I should have given my guy some defensive options. Now I've got. I'm probably pretty easy to pin in here.
Well, that's gonna require on me catching on to that fact. So you've got me in a position here, so I can certainly just like any game like this, I can trade, right? I can just let you take it if I take a
For
piece.
sure.
But this piece has a lot of pegs, so it's more valuable, right? It slowly becomes a knight,
And my
whereas
piece
these
is
all
so
start as
dumb.
pawns.
Yep.
So in an even trade where you take this piece and I take this one, you come out ahead,
Yeah. Is there, Martin, is there any benefit to crossing over and going to the other side?
No, you don't. I mean, it's not like you don't become kinged or something on the other side. No.
Okay. Good.
No, and I should probably. I don't know if anyone has mentioned, but I will mention. The goal is to capture your opponent's pieces by landing on them.
Okay.
But you don't have to get all of them. You just have to reduce your opponent to 1 piece.
Ah. Oh, wait a second. Oh, you sly dog. Mark, you wouldn't dare. Don't know how I
Okay,
feel about
so
that.
on the board, I'm getting a little kind of aliasing on the edges of pieces. I don't know if that's a function of the game build we have or the fact that we're streaming it back and forth a million times.
On this display, I have it set to 1080, which is a little bit smaller than like an iPhone display, but I think it's reasonable. I wouldn't say it's excessive aliasing.
Okay. Then I also might just be more sensitive to it than you.
This dude. Okay.
I think it looks pretty good on this.
Going there.
Actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, then again, I would be blind to like most problems probably. 'Cause I've looked at this so much.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, cool.
I will say my principal complaint I think about this app is the camera is always flying all over the place, whereas this is a game of incredible spatial awareness. That is the one thing that's important about this game more than any other game of its type, in fact. And so the constant, especially when I'm choosing where to put the peg, zooming all the way in there, which makes sense for a small screen, right? Mm-hmm. You want to see the whole layout. What I really want to do is see how that maps to the board, less than what it is on the piece. And just watching Lane, I mean, this is just a case of flipping the board around, which is just how it goes. There's not a lot of solving to that, but I kind of completely lost track of everything.
Because it's going back and forth.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, maybe it would be helpful if when you're at the finished turn and to highlight the pegs that you placed that turn.
Ooh, I like that idea. I've never heard
Yeah.
that suggestion, actually.
So then it's clear those are the ones you could go
Yes.
back on and change your mind before clicking
Oh,
finish.
Dale, that
Well, not
huge
even
winner.
more than that. There's something about Lane. You just put a peg here, I believe, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I took the mouse, but yes, I did.
And the
so
only
that was-
reason I'm saying that is because that would have been where I would have put the peg,
Yep.
but I didn't actually see you do it. So I think it would be beneficial in terms of just like communication for that highlight that Dale's describing, not just for you as you play them, but for your opponent to see what was the last played by your opponent.
Absolutely.
See the
absolutely,
direction
yeah.
they're going in, which is
I
something
think
you would get in real world play to a degree.
Well, because like 90% of the time people ask, "What did you do last round?" So yeah,
exactly.
That is a much more common request, is to highlight the last one, like the last player's pegs and piece that they moved.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And especially if the AI is moving fast and you just don't even notice.
Oh yeah, for the AI.
I've slowed down the AI, a couple times now. Not like how fast it thinks, but how fast it moves.
Mhm.
Right.
I think we're at a good place now, but it's
So
that's been a
this is
process.
the aliasing. I'm pointing physically to what
Oh, I see.
I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I see what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like it almost looks like it's moving, even though it's
Yeah,
not really.
I was like, did he put some weird water effect on this? And then I was like, no, it's not on the board. It's only on the edges of the pieces. And it's
Ooh.
like, depending on how overhead a view you have, it really, can be more intense or almost non-existent.
Boy, now I can't stop seeing it. Now that you've pointed it out, it's like, whoa, it's everywhere.
Cool. Dale ruins another game. Great job. Oh man. Okay. Ooh.
I feel like, did I completely box you in, or did I miss something? Like,
Well, I can just stay put.
that's true. You can. I'm not threatening you.
I'm just being a happy camper over there.
Well, see that, and ultimately that's my failing, because that's the thing that you don't always get right away when you start playing this game is you can then add pegs to that trap piece, and then suddenly you can threaten all sorts of my pieces. You know what I mean? Like you can turn the tables probably more than you think you can at this moment. Because I think what I should have done is I should have threatened you. I shouldn't have worried about threatening all your potential spaces, because you can just add more potential spaces.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the level of brainiacness that this game could allow. I am nowhere near close to, but I'm looking forward to leveling up. Let's see. Okay, so my dude is happy. This guy, pretty happy. Let's go ahead and plan a little fork here. And then give you one more option as well. Do I like that? I don't need to do that. That guy's kind of dumb and also threatening a lot, so do I want to level something else? Do I want to yield Gote to Mark? I don't think that I think that I do. I think I like threatening a lot with this guy.
Cool. Well, that peg you just placed isn't getting you much.
You're
Because
probably right.
It's this space here.
I'm sorry, what space? Oh, yeah. Okay,
You meant to put it here.
I did, but I clicked the wrong area. Yep.
And normally, like this is a case where I'd be like, you can go back on this or whatever, but I don't want you to, so.
Oh, the aliasing is bad now. Okay.
All right.
Have you explained the strategy and rules of this game in the in the verbal chat?
Do you want me to paste the full entirety of the rules?
No, I was just wondering if somebody could talk through it. I know that I missed some during my bio break, but I think that might, if you're watching, that might give you a little extra understanding of what exactly is going on beyond pegs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I really like those like highlighting effects. I think they're very tasteful, very well chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, you don't see that yellow anywhere else, but it is so it's perfect. It's exactly the right
Yeah.
color.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's in the
Yeah, it's in the flower shade a little bit,
the lines, the
Yeah.
outlines.
but it's a really good compliment to it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't dare.
I'm very indecisive. Anyone who's played a board game with me.
That's true.
All right, I'm just gonna go there. This is just a there's so much you have to keep in your head.
Okay. And then
Is your question about like what allows a piece to move in
Sure.
a place?
talk to me about
Because that's
what...
an interesting. Some people like really intuitively understand how the pieces move like immediately. Like they just have to see it and go, okay, yeah, that's how they work. And some people, it's actually a very like I'll explain it and think that I'm doing like the best job I could possibly have done, and they still just don't get it. And the key is that the center peg represents the piece itself, and then all the pegs around it represent where the piece can move. And
gotcha.
so they are relative to that center peg. So if there's a peg immediately to the left of the center peg in the piece, that means it can move one space immediately to the left. And if there's a peg in the
I
corner,
see it now.
that means it can jump diagonally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it moves immediately to that spot, like directly onto it. But yeah, it's interesting, like how some people really pick it up right away, and other people it's like a hurdle, like to understanding the game. I would say it's a minority of people that it's a hurdle to, but it's
Yeah, it's unusual. So how many pegs do you get to place each turn?
2.
2.
Exactly 2. Any of your pieces.
Oh, dang. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, okay, good.
Uh-oh. Not sure how I feel about that. Oh my goodness, there is a lot
in
of blood
trouble.
about to be spilled here.
Okay, so click on that piece again, Mark, and then explain to me. Oh, the X means you're taking out that spot, not
Yeah.
that you can't move there.
So if you look at all the pegs on this piece, for example, and I click it, you now see these pegs blown out into these 4 spaces represent these same 4 pegs.
Yep. Yep. I was just thrown off by the X,
Yeah, the X is it's the.
but that makes complete sense to me now.
I would almost say that this X should also be yellow
Ooh,
to represent a
interesting.
space,
Okay.
and maybe also the same height and with the same rounded edges to make it feel like a movement space.
So the height is exactly the same height as the piece, which would not be visible.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's more me nitpicky, like aesthetically. I think UX
Is it
wise you're
because-
fine, but
Is it because the red makes it look like you can't do that? You're not allowed
Yes.
yeah, that
Yes.
could be. To me, it's more like the red makes it look like it's not part of my possibility space. The
like
yellow is
the
my
red-
possibility space, you know?
to? Yeah, similar to Scott in the chat, I really like the red, but I do agree that like a red X specifically tells me, no, you can't do it.
Right. Maybe, I mean, opinions vary on red or X or whatever, but if you took one of these yellow wafers and actually just put it on top of this piece,
Huh.
that might be a way to communicate it. That probably has its own pitfalls, but in terms of a legal move, I think that's like this yellow pad of butter is a legal move, and so that's the language that I kind of would love to stick with. I mean, once you know it, it's not a barrier, so it's not like it's a huge deal. All right.
I don't know.
Go.
Seems pretty sweet. Look at that. Look how satisfying and red that was.
I really love the limited animation, the tick 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 as it moves.
Yeah.
I'm so in love with that. Like, it's such a little detail you didn't need to do, but it works so good. And like, I don't know if it's any effort to like, be useful on the most lowest powered devices or whatever, or any consideration like that. I think it's just a great creative choice.
Oh, did you add one there? No. Oh, look at that. Planning ahead. Place second peg. Okay. Cool. Oh, look at that little protection racket going on over here. Cool. All right.
Cool. Okay, Martin, do you want to talk about the music at all?
Ooh, yeah. Are you hearing the music? Everybody's hearing the music, probably but me, because I'm listening to Discord, but not the Twitch stream. That makes sense.
It might be a little quiet.
Charlie...
Folks in the chat can say.
Scott says he's hearing it.
Okay, good.
So the music was composed by Charlie McCarran, who is
good move.
Yeah, he's a great local. He's actually a game designer, and I know him through like board game design. But he's also a composer for his like day job. So
is it rude for me to say that I actually like his game design even more than his music? Like, I just think he's like had like two big hits for me lately. I love them both.
I agree. I mean, I will say I'm more of a fan of his game design, partly because I'm just like I'm more of a connoisseur of game design than I am of music. So that's probably the main reason. But yeah, I love his games, and I think he's a brilliant composer as well. And I really particularly like this. This is basically 2 tracks that are able to be played one on top of the other. And so I don't actually know which one's playing right now, but there's a staccato one and whatever the other word is that means longer notes. So staccato is like short notes, and then there's like long notes, and it's randomized, and I'm not 100% sure we've dialed in the right randomization, but most of the time it will play either one or the other, but there's like a 20% chance that it will play neither, and then it's silent for like 30 seconds, and the loops are like constantly going. It's just whether or not they fade in. And so that's what's happening. Legato. Thank you, Scott.
There's a bunch of cricket noises in there too. So
so then there's also some sound effects, and the sound effects are also kind of randomized which ones are playing.
Okay.
There's 3, I think. There's crickets, water, and oh shoot, I can't even remember what the third one is.
Because you can't hear it, and everybody else can.
Right.
So I was going to ask, on the mobile version of this, are you planning to have a no sound thing so you can play this on the bus and not disturb anybody?
Oh, so it does respect the sound switch, the sound toggle on the iPhone anyway. That's the one that I test the most frequently. But also there are sound options in the menu. So if you go back to the menu and then options, you can change all the audio.
So can you go back to the settings now and then come back to the game that's in progress?
In theory, yes.
Okay, so we won't try that until almost the very end when it's clear who's gonna win.
Oh, it'll be more painful then, but yeah, sure. I guess if you know exactly who's gonna win, then it's probably no big deal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Or we could just finish the game and then start a new game, make a move, and then see if the move stays. Just to verify that, and then Mark can evaluate the user interface on the sound off menu.
Were you tempted at all to have the audio go along with like what's happening in the game, like have the music change as the number of pieces on the board changes?
Yeah. So I almost was gonna say this, but then I kind of didn't at the last second because I can't remember whether I implemented it or not. But those 2 pieces of music can be played on top of each other.
Yeah.
And the idea is that when you're down to like just 2 pieces, when someone's almost winning, then they should play together,
Oh,
and it'll be
cool.
more intense and like this. That's kind of like the finishing sound.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
And at this point, I am going to recognize that abstract puzzle totally explained to me the game while I was not looking at it, and my feed's a little bit behind.
Dude, yeah, whoever
So-
abstract puzzle is, man, you're good at explanations. All right.
That's me, right? You're just being facetious.
I don't know. You seem like you got a fan, Marty.
just keep it.
So I don't. Yeah, I feel like I can see the like trades that are about to happen, and I know that whoever bleeds the most like growth on their other pieces during the trades is going to come out ahead. But how do I do that? How do I maximize that? Because it seems like we're going to end up 3-3, and Mark's going to have like one super piece, and I'm going to have two guys with like a little bit of growth.
My policy is to never give strategic advice during watching a play game.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So I
Little-
kind of know what's going on here. Like I have a sense of this trade upcoming, but then I don't really know. I don't have a lot of decisions. Like what should I do here? Like any choice is as good as any other kind of. I could. There's already 2 pegs here, so I could split it. Spread out my pegs so that there's not as many honeypots. But I don't. It's a little bit of like choice paralysis. But that's. I mean, it's countered with like I know exactly what to do in certain cases.
Man.
Like,
Martin's
this was
just
okay,
like-
but only going to get me so far.
So can I ask a question about the physical game and if it has those lotus flowers on the sides of all the pieces?
Yes,
So that's very
The-
detailed.
it is. Yeah, it's actually it's probably even more subtle than it is in the digital version.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you like look closely, yeah, they have the little, I guess they're lotus flowers along the sides, and then there's a single kind of 5 pointed flower on the top that's indented into the piece.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and that one I can see very clearly. Yeah, because I was going to ask, maybe just like making the edges smooth would reduce some of the aliasing that we're getting, but I'm not sure that that's the problem at all.
How far ahead should I think with this piece here?
Yeah, it's kind of clever, but there's risk involved.
Oh, there so is, because like I wanna put like a piece to go be able to go back. I can keep safe for like a turn, but like oh my goodness. oh geez. Okay. Meanwhile, Martin's like, the classic Andaluvian gambit. I see. he's about to misplay here for sure. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So have you played enough that you can like sort of see some like common openers and like counters like starting to form?
Yeah, I think I have. I think they're like I don't know about openers. Like for me, like I almost always play the same opener, and then sometimes I'll just force myself to play differently. And you only have 6 possible moves in the beginning, so really it's not that there's not that many possibilities until you start thinking about the second move, right? Like until you start thinking about the pegs that you can add. But I do see a lot of patterns that play out like that happen in a lot of games, right? Like it's very common for this position where one player has like one piece all the way at the other end, and they're not it's like far too far for it to be defended. Like it's that's a common thing that happens in a lot of games. I think there are patterns that I see in games now.
Ooh. Oh, and he knows he can get a cheap trade here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think your mistake was you've now made this very expensive, like very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And your trade is going to be for my less valuable than when you could have had the opportunity to trade for this one, when it was an even trade. Or I'm totally misreading it, and you're about to spring something good on me.
Well, I wouldn't say it's good. I don't know where your second piece is.
Well, I will say that in the chat, Abstract Puzzle Martin has given you high praise. Boy, this must be the best game I've ever seen.
I think you got to send that guy a free copy. I think you got to.
I have a feeling he's already got it.
Wow.
Where do I put this other peg now?
Tricky.
Go here. It's difficult because I can see where all of Lane's pieces are going to go, but I don't know where they're all going to be able to go next. It is interesting. It's incredibly fair. Like it's like every Imagine move you make in a chess game. Thrive has that, but every move requires 2 levels of forward thinking.
I don't know. I just got the first turn advantage, and I've just been pressing that all game relentlessly.
Yeah.
I saw it all play out. Ooh, did you? All right. So you got to tell me, how good is Scott Gaff at this game?
Great question. I wish I knew.
Ooh.
Scott, someday we'll have to play together.
Well, you can play online together. And then
Well,
one
so
day-
this game does not actually have online multiplayer.
You have to use
Which is-
the parsec.
Oh, this is a perfect
Yeah.
game for asynchronous multiplayer.
For sure.
You know, Thrive by
I would
mail.
love to take the time to do it. I don't know when it's gonna happen.
Mhm.
So it's funny now. There are 3 different versions of this that have been implemented digitally.
Mhm.
There is a tabletop simulator version of it that I had nothing to do with.
Somebody
And
has
there's-
a fan.
Well, a publisher.
Oh, okay.
And then there is also a board game arena version of it.
Hmm.
And that I did have a little bit to do with because I started the project and then abandoned it, and then some French guy picked it up, and and he took it the rest of the way. So it's actually like pretty much done. I will say it doesn't have nearly as it's just not as well done. Like it's not polished, right? Like it's kind of rough around the edges, but it's perfectly playable. And what's great about Board Game Arena is that like they abstract away all of the like multiplayer options. So every game playable on Board Game Arena is playable both asynchronously, and you can choose like how frequently you have to play, or in real time. And there's like all kinds of achievements that you get like automatically for like winning a bunch of games, and like ranking against all the other players that play on the site. All that is like just done for you. So what I would really like wish to do is to actually implement like playing online in the app, but really it's playing on Board Game Arena. And I know that's possible because there's an Android app for the game Hive that does it. But I don't really know what kind of hurdles they had, or like
And
what
this is
kind of
just
hoops
2 more
they had.
letters.
Right.
Well, I was gonna say, Lane, if you look in the chat, Scott answered your question about how good he is at this game.
Oh, okay. So he's like a solid 6 out of 10. I gotcha.
Lane, that was a pretty good move, or a good mitigation. I think I'm still ahead on the trade
I
that
think
you're setting
you still
up.
are.
But
Yeah.
but that was a really solid sort of like block for me. I think my best move is probably just to take this piece and do the
you're
trade, because then this is still intact.
Yeah.
Because you can't move back. I get you here. You can't run away. I get you here. You still can't get there. And I can just take you whenever. So yeah, I think that's still my best move.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Operation Security Fail. Ryan Blaha still a presenter. Unbelievable.
Okay, so I was gonna ask
We could
Martin.
have had a charming and skilled gentleman join us at any time. I'm so sorry. All right. What's up, Dale?
I was gonna ask Martin about orientation on a mobile device. If it will be played landscape mode versus portrait mode, or if this is just how it's oriented, because that's how most people's screens are.
It only supports landscape. It does not support portrait, and that is like such a fail for me because I love games that are playable portrait, especially board games, for some reason. But yeah, I just didn't handle it. It does do the right things with like different screen ratios, so
That's
like
good.
it's playable on the iPad, and it should be in theory playable. Actually, like I think I've even like just for fun loaded it up in portrait a couple times, and then was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna fix all this. I mean, it like is totally fine. Like it looks fine. It's just like things are the wrong size and then smushed up against each other and stuff. So it should in theory be functional, but yeah, it's currently just landscape.
Okay.
Everything is like degrees of like how difficult is it to do this, you know, like
Yeah, I can totally see that.
And then too, like, you know, this has really not changed very much in the last like 4 months, and I've just been like kind of paralyzed a little bit. Like I just feel like, and this has been true, I want to say even longer, like probably for the last like 6 years. I feel like every game that I make, I then have this like moment of like, okay, am I gonna polish this and make this like a real release or not? And every time I like get halfway through it, or maybe even like this game like 90% of the way through it, and I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the physical board game is out, right?
Right? Yeah, you can buy it now.
Something.
I actually saw it last week in a store, in a physical store, which, like, you know, I mean, I haven't been in physical stores really, so
Yeah.
I was like, I just happened to be picking up comics, and I was like, it'll be fine if I just run in real quick, and then it was on the shelf, and I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
the first time.
Awesome.
too real.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I would say I really enjoy that the the peg slots on these are just textures, because then you don't have to worry about polygons.
Oh, so I had a question. Is there, like, this would be not even a thing for this game, but just like a point of curiosity, is there anybody that plays games like on a tablet where like let's say that me and Mark were sitting across from one another. The tablet is down on the table, and the tablet represents like a board. It's just like a top-down thing. He stays from his perspective. I stay from my perspective. There's no like camera work at all. Does anybody prefer playing games that way?
You know, I thought about implementing a tablet mode that's exactly that.
Yeah.
I am the one. So, like I mentioned, that I'm gonna be messing with the cameras still. I think that one of the things I want to implement is a mode that only is top down. So currently, like if you zoom out far enough, you get a top down camera, and then you can even like zoom out to the point you get the top down camera, and then zoom in just a little bit from there. But eventually, it switches back to the angular camera again.
Yeah.
And there are people who only want the top down and like literally like don't want it to ever go into the angular camera.
Yeah.
And so I am going to implement that for sure. But the problem with that is that if you then allow zooming in, you know, you wouldn't be able to see the corner, you know, like the edges of the board. And so then I want to implement like, you know, 2-finger drag, so you can like drag over to like to see a different part of the board zoomed in. Like, I don't know, it feels like allowing that then means that I'm also gonna do all kinds of other things, which
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no way into the scope that would happen then.
Right. But yeah, I like the idea of a kind of a tablet mode, but like I don't think anyone's gonna use it.
Yeah. 'cause-
Scrabble has a mode like that. I think there are very few. I've seen very few board games that have it.
Definitely, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, probably because if you're gonna sit across the table from somebody, you might as well bring out the physical game, huh?
That's right.
And
Yeah,
you
I
could
feel
get it
like
at a store.
a very nice feature would be being able to tap to place it, and then tap again to like unplace it.
Yeah.
That feels to me like a kind of an intuitive way to do it.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
think if there's a way
you go
to instead of placing pegs on the piece, you place you because you have to zoom in so far for it to be reasonable for fat finger touching. If instead of zooming in like that, you could, so let's say I wanted to place a peg on this piece. Instead of zooming all the way in, it would zoom in about this far, and then I would press these squares to the potential locations.
Oh.
It's a little abstracty, but it would let me get a sense of like, because that's the thing you're doing in your head is deciding where it could go, you know. And so like you press this and then and like an animation zips it to the peg or something like that. I don't know. That's easier said than done.
Well, so I did think so. I actually really like that idea, and I never experimented with it. I never actually implemented it, but at one point I was considering essentially when you tap a piece to add pegs, instead of zooming in, you would just get an overlay that is like an outline of the piece, and that would be like kind of the full size of the board.
Yeah.
And then you would sort of, it'd just be like buttons on the screen as opposed to, tapping on the actual piece, because it is problematic to tap on the piece. It's easy to like tap the peg in front of the one that you want, But yeah, I like the idea of it like sort of corresponding to the board, which I'm not sure that I had ever thought of that, but that's kind of a neat idea too. Another like common request is showing all the possible moves. So like having a toggle that's like, oh, now I can see all the places I can already move and all the places my opponent can move. And that I like that idea a lot because it sort of reduces the like cognitive drain of that task, right? Like it's sort of like putting the focus on the strategy as opposed to seeing the board. But I just haven't done it. It's another thing to do.
Yeah.
All right, I'm like 100% sure that you got me, Mark. But I want to hear this intense music at the end.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I implemented it. Is the problem?
It does seem more intense right
Does
now.
it? Is it
but
playing
I'm not,
both?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that's coincidental.
I think it's
or...
part of that is your heart rate, I bet.
Oh.
The thrilling finale.
Yes.
We have 4 minutes in the show tonight, so I think this timed out pretty well.
This-
Lane and I planning all this in advance, so it would end exactly the right time.
The
Really?
maestro strikes
Yep.
again. Very nice work, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Oh, yes.
So, just because I've played this game once before against another person, I win if I take one of his pieces, right? Or do I need to take three?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
yeah. How do you finish the game?
I want to take the most of his pegs, make it the most punishing.
I kind of feel like there we go. Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
chimes. Ooh, wind chimes. I like it.
That's good. Okay.
I think instead of saying player 2 won, it should say player 2 is the best.
Player 2 thrived the most.
Oh yeah, that thrived. I like it. That's pretty good.
I could just randomize. I could have a whole bunch of strings.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it when games do that. That's so good.
You could just have player 1 withered. You know.
That's pretty great.
So I will say the one thing I was like biting my tongue the whole time about is that this game doesn't really have a first player advantage, but it does have a first capture advantage.
Yeah, that's
And that's true
seems
for any
huge.
tactical situation. Like
Yep.
if you're about to start a big exchange and you count off like, oh, we can both do the same number of captures, you want to be the one to do that first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I noticed that right at the end, and when I gave up the tempo to Mark to pull back. Now I think I was in a bad situation anyway, but that's when I cinched it that I would lose. I think.
yeah, you had the first capture advantage for a while, but then it seemed actually like a smart move, because if we were just going to keep going back and forth, I was going to get more and more of your pegs in every exchange. So you moved back, but then that let me start an exchange, and then it was
Yeah.
all over.
Oh yeah.
But it was still, I mean, like, I think I think early on, I think the first couple of rounds, I recognized a couple of really good plays you could have made. But by the end, you were not making, like, you were making the best move, at least in my judgment. And so I think you just had a disadvantage that I had played this game once before. I think that was my only advantage, ultimately, is the reason I won.
Mark, will you press start game, move a piece, and then go and change the sound settings?
Start game. Move a
Ooh.
piece.
Okay.
Oh, this is interesting. When I changed it to AI, but now I'm player 1. And the camera
Oh, I didn't change the camera.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice. Is
okay.
it backwards? Is it gonna change it again? That's the real question.
What did you test for that, Dale? You wanted me to do what?
Well, you got to finish your
Change
turn
the
actually, or
sound.
else it's not gonna save it.
Okay. Finish your turn, and then go change the sound settings.
Are
Oh,
there
that's totally a bug. Look at that. I remember finding this bug before, and I thought I had fixed it. It's a good one.
So I'm a little confused. You're talking about the camera.
Yeah, exactly. So it thinks that you are on the other side of the board, is what it does.
Yeah.
Here's what's happening.
Oh.
So I think it's because of the last player to take a turn in that previous game. It like the camera is like remembering that that's like the current player, even though there's only one player now, and so it doesn't need to do the switching.
Does the camera just like is the function like switch to the other side? Is that the and so
it's at the end of the turn. It's like if you're in a see, that's the other thing, is that it shouldn't actually be doing it outside of a like human versus human game. That's the only time that it actually repositions the camera.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, obviously that's not true, but I thought that was the only time.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you work?
Yeah,
this out?
and that weird like jerky switching is also, I think, a result of this issue.
So
because when
much
you
camera problems tonight, huh?
Yeah, when you go from the top-down camera to the angled camera, it repositions it to the default position for the player, and that default position is incorrect right now because it thinks you're the wrong player. So that's why it's doing that weird like jerky thing.
Dale, just say the sound settings. Because this will be a mobile game, there's no sound settings in the app.
Oh.
Oh, no, there are.
Oh, really?
Aha!
Where would I
yeah,
find that?
for
Oh,
sure.
it's just, in the main. It's not in the pause
In
menu.
the options, right? Exactly.
Ooh, okay.
But I can continue my game. Okay. That's a little strange. I would think going back to the main menu would, even if I could save it and come back to it.
Oh, so you just X'd out of continue your game.
That's fine. I'm not interested. I don't need to
Okay,
continue the
click
game.
on the options to look at the sound options.
Okay.
And give them feedback on the user interface here.
Some of these look like default components.
I think what Dale is trying to say is that this menu sucks.
I've never seen the menu before, but I know that you wanted user interface comments, so I was like, I can provide you with that by making him navigate.
Oh, okay.
Menu.
This is kind of fun.
That's great.
I recognize some of these as just the default components, so I'm not going to criticize them.
No, let's hear Dale's take on the radio buttons.
They should be slightly bigger because they look too skinny for the
For the mobile.
Oh, I'm not talking about radio buttons. I'm talking about the slider. The slider grabber piece looks too skinny
Yeah.
for the thing.
This should have a statistic that says number of games versus human, and it should just be the number of games you've played. Because somebody always wins.
Number of times viewed.
No, look at that.
statistic.
Look at the
That's
Pass and
cute.
Play games is incorrect.
Yeah?
Pass and Play should have 1.
Because that's
And it has 0.
Yeah. Huh.
Ooh.
So we can
WTF?
record
Hey, Link.
What kind of sloppy developer made this?
it. We're here to get a nice photo of the actual pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The cloth board.
Lane, do you want to read off some of the comments in the chat?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Dale. Abstract Puzzle begins with, "Boy, this must be the best game I've ever seen." God, you love our audience here. Scott Gaff says, "I really suck and I don't have anyone physical to play the game with." That's what Parsec is for. That is so cool. Ellen says, "Jumping back into the chat here. I don't know what's going on, but this game is beautiful." Scott
She's
says,
done what
I have
Pin did.
wanted that. Scott says, "I have wanted that preview option before. I have wished I could touch the opponent's piece and see what their current movements can be."
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it seems like a really elegant way to do it.
Yeah, it's a very good idea.
Ellen says, "Wow, I really love the music," and
Dale,
she also
Dale, do you want to play
says,
this tutorial?
"Pretty." Oh, cool.
Oh, as Thrive plays one of the 2 lotus flowers competing control plant. What am I doing?
You're gonna run through the tutorial.
Oh, okay. Each of your 6 seed pods can move according to it. Oh, it's a seed pod. Oh, because I'll start with 1. Move this one.
The camera, this thing is still a little bit. You're on the other side. Your player, the cyan, the darker cyan, as you.
Oh, that's
Okay.
terrible. You should just quit the app and restart it.
Oh, but look at how cool this falling water is. Yeah, I can't grab them.
You're trying to click and drag. Just click it. Yeah.
Oh, fine. I'm gonna do that.
Oh.
2 more seeds.
Oh.
Okay.
Now you should actually be able to click and drag as well.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm curious though if it might not work
Finish.
because it's
Finish.
mouse versus but I don't know. No, it should work.
There's a couple of places where the text is not centered where you'd expect it to be. There was one in a header in the rules, but also some of these messages at the bottom of the screen don't seem consistent. I'm not paying a ton of attention, but there's some of them are lean right a little bit more than I'd expect.
They're all supposed to be right aligned. I'm not really sure why I made that decision.
Oh, I see. So they're right. I think that can be a little bit because they're right aligned, but not right aligned to the screen, but to that point where the art in the corner ends. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, exactly. That's right.
Yeah. I don't think that reads quite right.
You think it should just be centered?
Well, no. If it was left aligned to the point, to this point, then it would make some sense. But if it's right aligned here, then I think players will keep thinking it's incorrectly centered because you read left to right. But if it started here,
Yeah.
I think it'd be okay. But I would recommend just centering it. I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's okay. You could I think you could try playing around, see how it looks on the left side. But center's probably your safest.
I think centering makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's an easy change.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it is 9:07 now. Is it time to sign off?
Yeah, that signifies the scheduled completion of our program. But we can break the rules. We've done
Thanks
that
so
enough
much for
tonight.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
thanks for bringing it.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it. I think you got a lot of really good feedback.
Yeah,
I
this
think-
was useful.
Well, one of the advantages you have with a game like this is that it's such a good game that it can withstand. You seem very worried about that camera thing. This would not send me asking for a refund. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's shipped, because the game is so good. So hopefully, not that you want to leave bugs in your game, but I think you have a comparative advantage to other projects where the core is just such a strong piece of work that it wouldn't doesn't have to be that elegant to be a great experience, you know.
I disagree. Fix the camera. No, but the game was delightful. I really had a good time, and I am kicking myself for not making a priority to play it over the last couple of years. It's really fun. All right.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah. Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, now comes the time of night where Dale says the thing she says, and then I immediately hit stop stream, so no one can respond to it, nobody can comment upon it. It just is out there in the ether to live as your last moment of the night. Let's hear it, Dale.
There is no spoon.